Hey guys, so today I want to do an overview of my Magic the Gathering binder collection. I actually have two binders here, and yeah, this is my collection of Magic the Gathering cards. I've been a Magic the Gathering player since at least the mid-2000s, I'd say. So I played Magic for like roughly 15 years, and I didn't really play it much these past few years. I think like 2023 was when I just basically stopped. Like it's kind of crazy keeping up with all the new sets and all the collaborations out now. But yeah, I still want to go over my binder collection. I think the last time I did a video about it was like 2018, which is a long time ago. And I've since added some cards. So yeah, and this is also going to be like a recollection for me as well, because I haven't actually taken a look at my binder in a while. So anyways, let's take a look at my Magic the Gathering collection. These are just going to be the cards I'm not using. I do have other videos going over my decks. So this is going to be just my spare cards, basically. Okay, let's take a look. And these are mostly rares, I think. Some good uncommons, too. Okay, so let's take a look at these cards here. So this is the first page of my binder. And I'll try to get a better look at these here. Okay. Oh. Okay, so what's a good way? Okay, I'm just gonna briefly talk about each card because there is a lot of cards here. So Baneslayer Angel, 5 mana for 5/5, flying first strike, lifelink, protection from demons and dragons. Great card. I know that the Magic sets now, like, it just gets more and more like powerful as time goes on. Now you have so much power creep. But I remember when this card came out, everyone was like, "Wow, that's ridiculously good for that mana cost," right? Like 5 mana for 5/5, you can get all that. That's like way better than Serra Angel. You know, Serra Angel used to be the standard for that. And then you have Baneslayer Angel, which is just way, way better. And now you have even better cards now. So that's an example of power creep right there. Ariel, Knight of Windgrace. I forgot when I got this one. Was this for my black, green, white deck? I think. But I think this is a pretty solid card. 4/4. 4 mana for 4/4 Vigilance, and then you can tap to create Knights for Vigilance or destroy a creature. That's another example of a card that probably would not have been made back then, but because it's a modern card, you can have like crazy ass power level creep like that. Don't know why I'm not using that one in my deck, actually. Maybe because I didn't quite find enough room for it. I think I wanted to use it in my deck, but didn't find room for it. Yavimai's and Grace. This is an old card. You can tell because it's got the old borders. So it's 8 mana to control the creature, and they get +2/+2 and trample. It's honestly really, like, by today's standards, it's not very powerful. 8 mana for that, like, yeah, it's not very powerful for what you do. But at the time, this is Apocalypse, right? Like, this is the early 2000s set, so I think at the time it was good, but not anymore. Verdant Sun's Avatar. When this or another creature enters the battlefield, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. I think this is good for some decks that may have like repeated effects entering the battlefield. So yeah, but 7 mana is quite a bit. Mindslaver. This is a really cool card. 4 mana, you sacrifice it, you control target player's next turn. That's one of the only cards, I believe, where you can do that. That's definitely a very unique card. I mean, it takes a lot of mana, right? 6 mana and then 4 mana to do that, but wow. Taking control of a player's next turn is really crazy. Wall of Reverence is cool. So it's a wall, so it can't attack, but every turn you gain life equal to the power of a creature you control. So that's really good for like stall decks. And I do have a stall deck. I think I put one of these in maybe, just to gain life every turn if you have a stall deck. So Deafy Tigger. I think this is a sentimental card. It's really not that good these days, but I remember I had this in one of my very first decks I made, which was a blue-white control deck. You have 2 mana to put the top card of your graveyard on the bottom of your library, and that's so that, I think I had a deck that milled. Yeah, it was like milling people. It was like a lockdown deck that milled people, and I would never get milled myself because I have this thing, and I could just recycle my graveyard into my deck. So I would never get milled myself, but other people get milled to death. Thelonite Hermit, the Sapperling deck, okay. You morph it, and then you get 4 1/1 green sapling. I think I put this originally in my green token deck. I think that's why. And then they turn out to be better cards, but that's for tokens. Mirror Maid, this is for my blue copy control deck, I think. 3 mana, you enter the battlefield as a copy of any artifact or enchantment, yeah. So this was for my blue copy deck where I have like a bunch of control and copy cards in it. Okay, let's take a look at this side. Memory Plunder is cool. It's also for my blue control deck. 4 mana, cast any instant or sorcery card from an opponent's graveyard without paying their mana cost. Really cool in multiplayer, right? Emperor or whatever multiplayer format. That's going to be really crazy. Shivan Hellkite. I think this is not a good, like, it's not really a powerful card, but I think this is just for like a nostalgic thing, because like this card is a pretty old card originally. 7 mana for 5/5 dragon, 2 mana to ping something. Yeah, not very powerful by today's standards, but it's like an old card. Stolen Goods is cool. Target opponent exiles cards from the library until he exiles a non-land card, and then you pay that. You cast a card without paying the mana cost. So it's like, you know, what's going to happen? You look at your opponent's deck and you can cast any non-land card. It could be creature or spell, instant, sorcery card. Could be pretty interesting. Sunscape Master, old card here. Really not that powerful by today's standard. You notice that old cards are actually not very powerful compared to modern cards. Modern cards are in general more powerful. 4 mana 2/2, and then you can use the allied colors to give them +2/+2, or as a built-in unsummon here, a built-in unsummon. Okay, not very good actually, but just interesting from a historical perspective. Blue Water Thief's interesting. I believe this was an invitational card. Blue Water Thief, so like it doesn't look that good, but you can gain flying, and then when it deals combat damage, you can pay 2 mana to search that player's library for a card removed from the game. So it's a built-in extract feature. If you want to mill an opponent, you can extract a card from their deck, but it's very, very slow. So anyways, this is an old card. Again, not very good by today's standards. This is a very powerful card. 6 mana, destroy all creatures, then create an X6 colorless horror artifact creature. So it's like a Wrath of God, but then two extra mana, you do Wrath of God, and then you get a big creature, and that's actually really going to be really difficult for your opponent to deal with, because their creatures are going to be gone. So they're gonna have to find a way to get rid of your creature that you just created. Hornet Nest. 0/2 can attack, but when it's dealt damage, you put that many 1/1 green insect creature tokens with flying and death touch on the battlefield. That's really interesting. So I think this might have been for my token deck. If they attack with a big ass creature, like say one of those jumbo cactuar things, they attack with like 9,999 attack or whatever. And you block with this thing, you get 9,999 insect creature tokens. Alright, Malicious Pride. Whenever non-creature token you've been paid 1. I think this is for my equipment, white weenie deck. Yeah, it's just for my white weenie deck. And then when I attack with it, I pay 1 mana and I get an extra creature that's already tapped and attacking. That's cool. There's only 2 mana too. It's actually not bad. Reaper of the Wilds. I think this is just a all-around pretty solid stats. 4 mana, 4/5, and then when it dies, you scry 1, and then you can make it gain Death Touch or Hexproof. Hexproof means that can't be targeted. So that's a pretty good set of features. I think this card used to be kind of a deal when it came out, but not anymore. But it's a 1 mana for 1/1, and then because you have all these abilities, the Figure of Destiny, you can either make it become a 2/2. You've got to first you got to make it become a 2/2, and then if it's a 2/2, this thing, and then you become 4/4, and then you become 8/8. So it's good use of mana later on if you have unused mana. But I think by today's standards, it's not very good. But at the time it came out, I think it was pretty solid. Taurus Battalion, same thing. I think at the time it came out, it was good, but not anymore. 2 mana for 4/3, and then you only cast. I guess if you have a multicolor deck, it wouldn't be too hard to fulfill that. But 2 mana for 4/3 trample, yeah, that's pretty good by that standards of that day, I guess. 6 mana, Mind's Desire. Again, a card. I think I remember this card being kind of a thing because of Storm. So you shuffle your library, exile a top card, and then you can play a card without paying mana cost. Storm. So yeah, this is what happens when you play a bunch of spells in a turn. Use Mind's Desire, and then you play your entire deck without. Some kind of combo deck would use it, and you play your entire library without casting the cost or whatever. Silent Arbiter is cool, especially in multiplayer. No more than 1 creature can attack, and no more than 1 creature can block. That's interesting. Boros Reckoner, I think I had this in my Neo deck. 3 mana for 3/3 is solid, but with dealt damage, it deals that much damage to a creature or player. So it has a built-in kind of reflectability, and then you can make a gain first strike. So not bad. Hypnotic Spectre. This is a classic card from way back when. 3 mana for 2/2 flying. When it deals damage, that player discards a card at random. Not powerful by today's standards, but at the time, I think, really old school card, I think it was considered pretty powerful. As you would just make your opponent discard randomly every turn, right? Okay, and this one, Maverick Fane. 3 mana, 2/2. Whenever 1 or more non-token vampires create a 1/1 white creature token with lifelink. Okay, yeah, good for a white weenie. It's kind of like that Malicious Pride card. Yeah, this is good for creating a bunch of small white guys, white weenie. Light Field Mine. In Light Mine Field, good for defense. This is the white for my white defense deck, I think. Whenever one or more creatures attack, deals damage equal to the number of attacking creatures. So basically, yeah, if they have a whole bunch of tokens attacking you, this is going to be killer for like someone attacks you with a bunch of tokens. Like if they have like infinite squirrels or something like that, no, this is a automatic way to kill all those things. Cryptoplasm's cool. I have it in my blue control deck. At the beginning of upkeep, you may have it become a copy of another target creature. So it's cool. Every turn you can copy something different. Okay, what's this one? Oh yeah, Pasture Life. I don't even remember the fact that I had these cards. 1 mana for 1/2 is pretty good stats. And then 3 mana you create a 1/1 token. For 5 mana you get a X6 colorless construct artifact creature. So you create like a beast of burden type of thing, where it's like equal to number power toughness equal number of creatures you control. Interesting. But anyways, one mana for 1/2 with abilities is good. Second Harvest. For each token you control, put a token in the battlefield as a copy of that permanent. So this is for token decks, obviously. Thornscape Master. Okay, this is 4 mana 2/2. It's basically the green version of that Sunscape Master. But this one has a built-in shock, and then it has a Mother Runes ability here. That's pretty decent. Protection is always powerful. Body Snatcher, that's a cool card. 4 mana, 2/2. This is a really old card. Urza's Destiny, I think. When it comes into play, you may choose and discard a creature card. Put in a graveyard, remove from the game, return target creature. Oh, this is for reanimation decks, I think. Yeah, I think I got this for the reanimation deck. Vorrath the Shapeshifter. 5 mana, 7/5. When in combat, you get a -1/-1. So, okay. Till next turn becomes a copy of a creature with a counter on it. Oh, okay. So every turn, you get a -1/-1 counter, and then they can shapeshift into it, essentially. That's interesting. Jade Sanctum, 4 mana, instant sorcery spells cost 1 less to cast. You cast instant sorcery spells, scry 1. Okay. Well, it's good that you have if you have a deck with a lot of spells. I think I use this for my blue control deck. There's a lot of spells, not many creatures. Oh, Acroma. This is such an iconic card. Yeah, this is a very iconic card back then. And it used to be a really good, I guess it still is, like a reanimation target. You have 8 mana for 6/6, flying, first strike, trample, haste, protection from black, protection from red, and vigilance. Yeah, it just has a massive amount of keywords. This used to be a really good reanimation target. I mean, I guess it still is, but yeah, normally you would never pay that mana cost. But if you can reanimate it, then it's a pretty powerful card because it's got so many abilities. Mutilate, 4 mana. All creatures get -1/-1 for each swamp you control. Great for mono black control. Mirror Entity, 3 mana. This has ability where you can pay X mana, all your creatures can become that powerful. So that's a good way to sync your mana. Viridian Zealot, 2 mana. And then 2 mana sacrifice with a naturalize ability. Okay. I think this should be an uncommon. I don't know why it's a rare, but okay. Kamal Pitfighter. I think I have this just for like a sentimental thing. It's not a great card, but it's like for Odyssey set. Yeah, he was a huge part of Odyssey set in terms of lore. So Kamal is like only a 6/1. He dies to a lot of things, but he has haste, and then he has a built-in lightning bolt ability. So that's really cool. Just tap to do 3 damage to anything. Lockstone Smiter, 3 mana for 4/4 is really good stats. Can't be countered, and then if something causes you to discard it, you put into play. So it's like anti-discard. So solid creature. Mimeofactor, 4 mana to choose a permanent or anything permanent. Okay, search that player's library for a card of the same name, play it under your control. So yeah, it could be anything, even planeswalkers. If they have a Nicol Bolas, you can just search for Nicol Bolas, I guess. Voracious Hydra. So X +1/+1 counters trample, and then if it enters the battlefield, you double the amount of +1/+1 counters, and then, or you can fight target creature you don't control. Okay, pretty versatile card. I like Hydras; they're always pretty interesting. Always have the +1 or counters or something. Darian, 6 mana 3/3. Whenever you're dealt damage, you may put that many 1/1 white soldier creature tokens into play. Again, good for white weenie decks. Shapeshifter's Marrow. Every upkeep for your opponent, they reveal the top card, and then if it's a creature card, this thing becomes that. So good for my blue control copy deck, I guess. Alright, Simic Sky. I think this is just a solid card. It could be good for reanimation target as well, but 7 mana for 6/6 flying, trample, and shroud, which means it can't be a target of spells or abilities. Yeah, generally pretty solid. I don't think people would ever pay this cost, but I think for reanimation target, it's good. Decent. Chroma's still better, but it's okay. Storm Herd. Oh, this is just a cool card to have. I don't think I would ever use it, but 10 mana is just way too much. But you create X1/1 white Pegasus creatures where X is your life total. Like, that's really cool of it spell, right? That's an insane spell. Like, if you create that many, like, yeah, your life total, you know, you can gain life. White, you can gain life really easily. Like, imagine how many creature tokens you get. All right, this is just another cool card here. Kovacs Ascendant Hero. It's the opposite card of Ascendant Invencar. So it's 6 mana for 4/4. Other non-white creatures get +1/+1. Non-white creatures get -1/-1. Then you pay 2 life to return it to your hand. So yeah, it can easily evade stuff and then pumps up your creatures and really diminishes your opponent's creatures at the same time, which is cool. Archmage's Charm. So 3 mana. You can either counter the spell, draw 2 cards, or gain control of a permanent with cost 1 less. So it's a pretty versatile. For just 1 blue mana more than a counter spell, you get this versatility. So it's decent. For blue control, Geist Cornered Monk, 5 mana for power toughness equal to number of creature control. So it's like Beast of Burden effect. You got Vigilance. And then when it enters the battlefield, you get 2 1/1s. So it's at least a 3/3. So it's at least a 3/3, but could be more, potentially. Magetta the Lion, just a really cool card. It's an old card. Don't think it's ever been reprinted, but just a really cool card. 5 mana for 3/3. It has a built-in Wrath of God. So basically, you have 4 mana, and then you discard 2 cards from your hand, and you destroy everything on the board except for this thing, and they can't be regenerated. So yeah, it's a built-in Wrath of God. Just this really cool effect, right? Very unique, actually. All right, Jessica, another throwback card for me. Judgment was the set when I started playing. 4 mana for 3/1, first strike and haste, and tap to deal 1 damage to target creature or player. Yeah, technically she can beat her brother Kamal in the battle. She has first strike. Paladin Onvek, 3 mana for 2/2, first strike, pro red and pro black. Solid creature at the time. Nowadays, I think is not anything special, but I don't think it would be rare nowadays. But at the time, it was considered pretty solid. Yeah. No, thanks to power creep, it's not. This is example, right? Like this, now you got 3 mana guys like this. For 2/4, every turn you get a 2/2 white cat creature token for each equipment attached to it. Yeah. This card is, well, you guys might be wondering, why is it a rare? It's the vanilla, right? It's 1 mana for 2/2. I think that's the fact that it's a rare, because 1 mana for 2/2 is considered pretty good for the cost, but just even with no abilities. Ever Halcyon Witness, 6 mana for 4, lifelink, and then you exchange your life total with its power. Okay, you would not do that unless you would have a lot of power on this thing, because it's only got 4 power. So yeah, you would never do that unless you were less than 4 health. If your life total is less than 4, or if this thing is like pumped up. Oh, this is a cool card. Forgotten Ancient. I think this was create a card or something like that. This is like a community created card, and the Wizards made it come to life or something like that. But 4 mana, whenever any player casts a spell, you get a +1/+1 counter on it. And then every upkeep, every turn you can move any number of +1/+1 counters from this into your other creatures. So it's good for token decks. Okay, Armada Worm is pretty cool. Enters the battlefield. I think this is good for enter the battlefield decks. Some effect, repeated effect from, yeah, this thing entering the battlefield. So it's a 5/5, 6 mana for 5/5, trample, and then you get a 5/5 worm creature token trample when it comes into play. So reasonably costed, I would say. Charlotte's Agent is just a cool card. 3 mana for 2/2, and then Cascade. So that's what makes it rare. Normally 3 mana for 2/2 is like nothing special, but then Cascade, that means you get to play a card for free when it comes out. So you get to play like a 2 mana or less card for free when it comes out, which is cool. Balance. Used to be, this is our old card actually, and a really powerful card potentially. 2 mana, and then every player, the number of lands and creatures and cards in your hand has to be equal to the player who has the fewest. So really powerful card potentially for multiplayer. Just for 2 mana too. Asceticism. So this is like for what? Ascetic Troll? Yeah, the Ascetic Troll enchantment. 5 mana, then creatures you control have hexproof, essentially, and then 2 mana to regenerate a creature. So every creature you have is a Troll Ascetic. Metotic Slime, 5 mana for 4/4. When it dies, you get 2/2 green creatures, and then they have, when they die, they get 2/1/1 creature tokens. So really good card advantage with that one. Broodmate Dragon, I think I used to have this as a reanimation target, but 6 mana for 4/4, and then when it dies, you get another 4/4. So basically, why it's good for reanimation is they kill this thing, you get another 4/4. So you get something generally no matter what. Pulse of the Tangle, 3 mana, you get 3/3 into play, and then if the opponent controls more creatures, then you return it to your hand and you can play it again. So that's good card advantage. But the cost itself isn't that great. Citraxious Spectre, 3 mana for 3/2 flying, deals combat damage to the player. That player discards a card, so it's got a Hypnotic Spectre. Not quite good as Hypnotic Spectre because it's not random, but you can unearth it. So plus it's got more power than Hypnotic Spectre. So it's got more power, and then you can unearth it to play it again later on if it dies. But yeah, the card they discard is not random. Okay, Teferi. This card, 5 mana, 3/4. He's a pretty influential character in the lore of Magic the Gathering, I would say. Flash. Creatures you control don't earn on the battlefield flash, which means you can play it on your opponent's turn. Each opponent can cast spells only they can cast the sorcery. Okay, well that's going to be annoying. That means all their instants are basically ruined by this. Basically all your opponent's instants are turned into sorceries, essentially. Okay, Netsia Wild's Ravager. Well, it's 6 mana for 6/6. Tribute 6. So enters the battlefield, an opponent of your choice may put 6 +1/+1 counters on. So basically, and then when it enters the battlefield, if it wasn't paid, you may have to fight another target creature. Okay, so this either does 6 damage to a creature, or it becomes a 12/12. Yeah, so either way, I guess it's pretty good. Creeper Cult, 5 mana, 5/5, trample, and then until end of turn, target creature you control has 5/5 against trample. Okay, 2 mana, you can turn any other creature into 5/5 trample. No, not bad. Triskelion, 6 mana, 1/1. It's actually 4/4 when it comes out. Then you remove one of the 3 +1/+1 counters to ping something. Okay, I think it was powerful when it came out, but not anymore. Stimum Cavalier, another guy that's I think was pretty good when it came out, but not anymore. 3 mana for 2/1. Pro white and black, and then you can gain flying, first strike, or gets +1/+0. So Great Sable Stag, 3 mana, 3/3, can't be countered. Pro blue and black. Again, these are all solid creatures at the time it came out, but I think now they've been outclassed. Phytohydra's cool. It's 5 mana for 1/1. Then whatever damage is dealt, it doesn't actually kill it. Instead, it gets that many +1/+1 counters. So basically, it's pretty hard to kill, and it gets bigger all the time. Flash. This is an old card, obviously, but it's used on some combos that I made before. You choose a creature card in your hand, and you put it into play, and then you pay it up. The casting cost up to reduce to 2, and if you can't, it dies. So I think they might have fixed it with errata, but how it worked before was you put a creature card from your hand into the battlefield, and then they die immediately if you don't pay it to. And then I think people just used it to get a cheap way to get to it. Like there's some creatures with like dies effects, and that was a cheap way to trigger them. Michael, 5 mana for 4, devour 2. So basically you sacrifice any number of creatures, and then you get twice that many +1/+1 counters as what you sacrificed. Really good for token decks, I guess. At the beginning of upkeep, you get a 1/1 green sapling creature token for each 1. Yeah, basically for token decks. Really good. Thunderscape Master. So yeah, I have all the masters, I think. So 2/2. Then target player loses 2 life, you can gain 2 life. You have a drain life effect, and then you get a creature you control get +3/+2, which is actually pretty powerful, potentially. Cephalid Emperor Boshin. Yeah, this brings back memories because it's Odyssey block. Okay, so 6 mana for 3/3 isn't very good, but then you can tap this guy or Cephalid to tap anything, and then 3 mana to Deluge, so tap all creatures without flying. That's I guess powerful effect. Mobilization, I used to use this in one of my decks to create white weenies. So every soldier has vigilance, and then you 3 mana. You can put a 1/1 into play, and you can use that as many times as you have 3 mana. So you can potentially create a lot of soldiers. Erratic Portal, 4 mana, and then 1 mana, return target creature to its owner's hand unless its control plays 1. Could be potentially annoying to your opponent, but I actually used it in a deck where I can return my own creatures to my hand to replay them to gain some effect. So that's really good for that. Aegis, 6 mana, 5/5. When it enters the battlefield, anything, not just creatures, anything on your board can be indestructible as long as you control it. So pretty useful effect. Nomadic Grove Guardian. I think this is for another token deck. 6 mana for 5. You get 3 mana. You can put a 1/1 to play, just the same as Mobilization, except this is green mana, and then you sacrifice all. They all get +1/+1 to turn. It's like Decent at the time, but definitely not very powerful anymore. This is the old card. Warden the first tree, 1 mana. Oh, this is like it's like the Figure of Destiny, isn't it? Yeah, so it's basically a Figure of Destiny, right, which had those effects, and then Warden of the first tree is the green mana version of it. So yeah, you pay 2, it becomes a 3/3, and then after that, then it has trample, lifelink, and then you put 5 more counters on it, and then it becomes like an 8/8. Yeah. Ooh, Parallax Wave. This is a fun card. I used to use this in some of my white defense lockdown decks. So basically, you put Parallax Wave and Fighting 5. You remove one on the counter to exile something, and then when this finally dies, then all those creatures come back. So potentially really good for coming to play effects, but also for stalling is really good. Any stall deck would be good for that. Identity 4 mana, 0/3, but when it attacks, you exile another non-token creature, and it becomes a copy of that creature. And then you return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. So it's good for copy decks when you have enter the battlefield effects. Amuria Angel, so 4 mana, 3/3 flying. When a land enters the battlefield and you control, you get a 1/1. Yep, not bad. Blade Ring the Wrist. Oh, this was also a reanimation target for me before. So normally this cost is pretty difficult, but so when it enters a battlefield, you may turn target dragon permanent from your graveyard to the battlefield. So ideally you discard like a powerful dragon, and then like that Broodmate dragon, for example, and then this thing would enter the battlefield, you reanimate it, and then when it reanimates, you get another dragon from your battlefield. From your graveyard. So that's ideally how you use it. You reanimate it, and then you get something else from your graveyard at the same time. They both come out. Spiritmonger, powerful card for the time. These days, it might not be as powerful anymore, but 5 mana for 6/6, first of all, is really, really powerful for the time. And then when it deals damage, you get a +1/+1 counter on it. So it's a vampire effect. And then you can also regenerate it, and then it becomes a color of your choice. So the color of your choice is useful if the opponent has protection creatures. So yeah, pretty powerful for the time. Nowadays, I think it's still okay, but yeah. Graham Lavamancer, I think this was a fairly popular card at the time. 1 mana for 1/1, but you exile 2 cards from graveyard to do shock something. I think it's just a cheaply costed and then a repeatable shock effect. And this 1 mana for 1/2, 3 mana against 3 mana, it basically becomes a 4/5 and gains Death Touch until end turn. And then if your player lost 4 more life, you get a +1/+1 counter. Yeah, it's okay for 1 mana actually. Yeah, that's actually a lot of abilities. 4 mana Hellrider Haste. Whenever a creature you control attacks, it deals 1 damage to the defending player. Gets good if you have a lot of creatures attacking. Worm Calling. So basically, you get a XX green worm creature token, and then if you buy it back, you can keep reusing it. Thorn Elemental. I think I got this again for sentimental reasons because I remember I used this card in one of the first decks I made when I first started playing Magic. It's really not a great card nowadays, but at the time it was, I guess, pretty good. So 7 mana for 7/7, and then you may deal combat damage as though it weren't blocked. So basically, it's like a super trample effect. So the opponent can block it, and then you trample the entire damage through rather than just the remaining damage. But I think if you do that, you don't actually... Do you actually kill the creature? I don't think you actually kill the creature. Yeah, if you do that, you don't actually kill the defending creature. Then I don't think. Anyways, got some good memories of this card because it used to be in one of my first decks. Hamburg Militia Captain, 2 mana for 2/2. At the beginning of keep, you control 4 more creatures. You transform them. And actually, what happens when you transform them? I have to look at the backside of these transformed guys. So you get Westfield Cult Leader. Power toughness equal to number of creature you control. So yeah, Beast of Burden effect. At the beginning of your end step, you get a 1/1 token. Okay, so you get a 1/1 every turn. And okay, for 2 mana. Okay, but I think this is really good in the White Weenie deck. If you have a lot of creatures, then yeah, it'll create even more creatures. Okay, Spitting Image, 6 mana. You get a token that's copy of your creature, and then you can cast this card from your graveyard again potentially. So good for like, this was for my blue control copy deck. Shawnee's Last Stand, 4 mana. Whenever creature planeswalker dies, you get a 4/4 flying. When it causes you to discard this, you get a 4/4 with flying. Okay. Okay. I don't think it's really that great. Don't know why I have that, but okay. Panoptic Mirror is really cool. So 5 mana. but you can imprint any sorcery or instant, and then at the beginning of your upkeep, you can copy it without paying the mana cost. So think about any instant or sorcery card, which is a lot of cards in the game, obviously, right? Those are some of the major cards in the game. And then every turn, you can copy it and play it without... You can play it every turn without paying the mana cost. So just a really, really cool card. Yeah, that potentially a lot of abuse can be had with that one. This one, Swords Electric, 5 mana for 3/5. Every turn, you get a filibuster counter. If he has 5 or more, you win the game. Whenever a source deals damage, you remove a filibuster. Okay, so basically, if you have a lockdown deck, which you can with white and blue, it's easy to have a lockdown deck with those colors. Every turn, you get a counter. If he has 5 or more, you just win the game. Yeah, so they have to basically attack you every turn if they don't want. Otherwise, you just win the game without even having to do anything. Parallax Tide. So this is the blue version of Parallax. You can remove lands from the game. This is just a really annoying effect. Again, for a stall deck. Yeah, that's really good. So you just use this with the Parallax Wave one, and then this one removes creatures, this one removes lands. It's really, really annoying to face this kind of card. I know. Weathersea Treefolk. Just a cool card. 5 mana for 5/3 trample, and then when it dies, you get it back to your hand. You can keep on playing it. Not that powerful these days, but at the time, I think it's a cool effect. Urza's Legacy, really old card. Damping Matrix. Activated abilities of artifacts and creatures can't be played unless they're mana abilities. Really good against combo decks, and a lot of other decks too. Yeah, really puts a spoiler in. Yeah, creatures with activated abilities and artifacts with activated abilities. That's a big deal, right, for most decks. So this one, 3 mana, 2/2. You get a bribery counter on a creature you don't control, and then its controller draws a card. But then they can't attack or block. Okay. So basically, yeah, you give the opponent a card, but then they can't do anything with that creature anymore. So yeah, if they have it doesn't matter if they have like a 10/10, a 20/20. If they have a bribery counter, they can't attack or block with it. Render Silence. So this is like Orum's Chant combined with Counterspell. So you get what the mana cost exactly is actually. You counter a spell, and then its controller can't cast spells the rest of the turn. So yeah. It's a pretty powerful card, I would say. Combining those two. Oh, Mystic Snake. I have some memories of this card. 4 mana for 2/2. It's flash, and then you use it to counter a spell. So whenever basically you play it, you counter an opponent's spell. So it's a counter spell on a stick. So this is a Planeswalker, Samut, 4. Then 1 target creature gains double strike. I think this is good for aggressive decks, aggro decks. 1 creature gains double strike, and then does 2 damage divided as you choose for the second ability. And a 7 mana to search your library for up to 2. The ultimate is search your library for 2 creatures, or planeswalkers. Actually, the planeswalker is going to be pretty powerful. You put them on the battlefield. Okay, yeah, it's for aggro decks. Nice Game Master, because this is the black version. So you got a unsummon here, and then you got the shock. Only 2 creatures, so it's okay. Call the Herd. This used to be a really good card at the time it came out. Not anymore, obviously. But 3 mana to get a 3/3, and then 4 mana you play it again for flashback. So why is it so good? Because, well, 3 mana for 3/3 is considered decent, and then 4 mana for 3/3 was considered decent back then. Not anymore. But at the time this card came out in Odyssey block, it was considered pretty solid. Okay, Conquers 5 mana, you put 6 1/1 creatures on the battlefield, and then if you kick it, you get 12 of those tokens. So basically, 5 mana for 6 1/1s, or I guess 11 mana for 12 1/1s, if you have 11 mana. Miser's Cage, 5 mana, every turn, if that player has 5 or more cards in hand, it deals 2 damage to them. This is going to be tough for control decks, right? Use this against control decks, and yeah, they take damage essentially if they keep too many cards in their hand. Oh, at 3 mana, you destroy target creature or planeswalker. Pretty simple and sweet, and well costed. Elder Skill, 7 mana for 7/7 trample. If it enters the battlefield, if your life total is less than 7, it becomes 7. And if you have 7 more life, damage that reduced your life total to less than 7 reduces it to 7. Okay. I guess, yeah. They can't reduce your life total to less than 7. Huh. Actually, it's not just combat. If you have some kind of ability that will damage yourself, you can use those abilities without having any negative effects, I guess, if you're at 7. Okay, Knight of Autumn. This is just a pretty versatile card. 3 mana for 2/1. Then when it comes into the battlefield, you either make it a 4/3, or you can do a naturalize, destroy an artifact or enchantment, or you can gain 4 life. So just a really versatile card. Good to use in a lot of situations. And then we have Voice of Resurgence here. 2 mana for 2/2, and then when they cast a spell during your turn, which is going to be like an instant or something, or when it dies, you get a creature. This creature's power and toughness is equal to the number of creatures you control. You get a beast or burden type creature. Then that's every time that effect triggers, not just once. That's a powerful card. Lowstone Golem, 4 mana for 5/3. Non-artifact spells cost 1 more to cast. That's a pain in the ass for well, for most decks. You would use this in an artifact deck, of course. I'll have another Samet, 5 mana 3/4. Oh, this is the creature version. Okay, that was the Planeswalker version. So the creature version, you flash, so you can play it on your opponent's turn. Double strike, which means she can do like 6 damage potentially. Vigilance and haste, and other creatures you can draw for haste. And then you can also untap a creature. A lot of abilities, which is good. Okay, Malira, you can't get poison counters, so this is anti-poison. That would be useful against infect decks. Creatures you control can't put -1/-1 counters placed on them. Also, yeah, creatures you control use infect. So it's like a sideboard card against infect decks. 3-mana Doomsayer, 3 mana 2/2, and then you tap to get a 1/1 on the battlefield. And then if you have 5 or less life, other creatures get +2/+2. Okay. Just tapping to be able to create a token is nice. Good for White Weenie. Alwyn Frostfang, 5 mana 2/6. Attacking creatures you control Death Touch. That's always nice. You can kill anything, right? Even a 1/1 can kill anything with Death Touch. Whenever a creature you control deals damage, you draw a card. So basically makes everything an Auburn Viper. And Auburn Viper is a cool card. So that's nice. Guy's Revenge, 7 mana for an 8/5. Can't be countered haste. And can't be targeted non-green spells or abilities from non-green sources. Yeah, that's a difficult creature to deal with and annoying and also pretty powerful. But it's also 7 mana, so I think it's reasonably costed for that. Steel Overseer, 2 mana, tap, put a +1/+1 counter each artifact creature. So it's for artifact decks. Atarka World Runner, 7 mana, 6/4, Dragonfly and Trample. Whenever dragon control attacks against Double Strike. So basically, when this thing attacks, it'll get Double Strike. So it'll do like 12 damage, basically. Yeah, for dragon decks. Swan Storov is 4 mana for 5/4. That's already pretty good stats. Trample. And then when deals damage to a player or planeswalker, you return to your hand target creature or planeswalker in your graveyard. That wasn't put there, this comment. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. 5/4, Trample, which gives it more chance of doing combat damage. Then if it does combat damage, you get something back. That's nice. Teferi's Puzzle Box. I think this was originally from my Underworld Dreams deck. So at the beginning of each player's draw step, you get the cards. That player puts the cards on the bottom of the deck, then you redraw that many cards. Really annoying to use against opponents, and then actually just annoying to use against everyone. And then really annoying to use when you have stuff like Underworld Dreams that deals damage when you draw cards. Yeah, when you have draw card effects, that's, yeah, pretty good. This one, Sig, 2 mana for 1/3. At the end of a turn, if an opponent lost 3 or more life, you may draw a card. So basically, really good in multiplayer decks because the chances of someone losing 3 or more life is pretty high, and then you draw a card. So it's really good in multiplayer. Umbilicus, also extremely annoying card. Every turn, a player pays 2 life or returns something to their hand. Basically a very annoying card for other people basically people to deal with. Irizat Descent Angel, I really love the design of this card because it's so simple, but also very powerful. 7 mana for 4/4, but it's flying and protection from all colors, which means it's extremely difficult to remove this creature if it's protection from all colors. Yeah, I remember this creature, my friend was playing against me, and then I was like, what the heck? How do I get rid of it, right? It's almost impossible to get rid of. Protection from all colors. Dissipation Field. Okay, this would be one way to actually, I think, remove this card. So it's 4 mana, then whenever something deals damage to you, return it to its hand. Archdemon of Unsk, 7 mana, 6/6 flying trample. Every turn, sacrifice a non-zombie creature, then put a 2/2 black zombie creature to play. Okay. I don't know why I have that, actually. I don't know if it fits in any of my decks. Delvescape. Whenever a player plays a non-creature spell, counter that spell, then they get X11 tokens. Okay. Yeah, so I think this can be used in some soft lock decks, like some lockdown decks. So it counters any kind of non-creature spell. But then imagine where you have a card that basically says some kind of creatures can attack, or only a few creatures can attack every turn. basically means that they're essentially soft locked to they can't play any non-creature spells, and then the creatures can like only attack in limited numbers or something like that. Then yeah, that's going to be very annoying to deal with. Upheaval, return all permanents through their owner's hand. Yeah, basically a board reset. Was used in the famous Psychotog decks back in the day. Famous for that. Time wipes. 5 mana, return a creature you control to the hand, destroy all creatures. So essentially it's a combination of an Unsummon and a Wrath of God. Yep. Sunken Hope, 5 mana. And then every turn that player returns a creature he or she controls to its owner's hand. Very annoying to use for the opponent, but when you have a deck that takes advantage of this, that has like come into battlefield abilities, then it's really good. I think that's what I used it for. Essentially the same thing as Umbilicus too. Yeah, I could just have like stuff I return to my hand. Shifting Cyrotops. Can't be countered. 4 mana for 5/4 is pretty good. Can't be countered. And then Pro Blue. And then it gains your choice of Reach, Trample, or Haste. This is what I'm talking about with the power creep stuff, okay? 4 mana for 5/4, it by itself would have been powerful back in the day. But then you two have like uncounterable Pro Blue, and then this ability. Like, that's power creep I'm talking about. Martial Coup. Get X. 1/1 white creature tokens if it's 5 or more, which means it's 7 mana total. Then you destroy all the creatures. So you have like a Wrath of God, and then you also get tokens on the board, which is nice. Shadow Mage Infiltrator. I like this card. It's designed by John Finkel originally. Very famous Magic player. It's really like got nice abilities, I think. 1/3 Fear, so it can't be blocked except by artifact creature. So it's hard to block. And then when it deals combat damage, you draw a card, or may draw a card. Simple and well balanced and good and well costed, I think, in my opinion. It's not very powerful now, I guess, maybe, but back in the day, I think this was a really well designed card. Master Core, very famous card back in the day. Nowadays, it's not very powerful, but back then it was considered pretty powerful. 4 mana for 4/4. Every turn, if you don't discard a card, this thing dies, which is annoying, but 2 mana to do 1 damage to ping anything, and then you can do that as many times as you have mana, and then 2 mana to regenerate. It's considered really powerful back then. Nowadays, it's not very good. Okay, Rushwood Elemental, 5 green mana is pretty hefty cost, but you get a 4/4 trample, and every turn it becomes bigger. So, yeah, again, powerful back in the day. Nowadays, not anymore. Battlegrace Angel, 5 mana for 4, flying, and then when Exalted means whenever a creature you control attacks, it gets +1/+1, and then whenever creature you control attacks alone, it gains lifelink. Yeah, generally a useful card, I would say. Especially if you're only going to attack with 1 creature a turn. Silverblade Paladin, 3 mana 2/2, Soul Bond, so you pair a creature, and then when it's paired with another creature, both creatures have double strike. Pretty nice way to give a creature double strike, I would say. Okay, so here is Estrid's Invocation, 3 mana. Oh, basically it's a copying an enchantment, and then at the beginning every turn you can exile this, and then you return it back to the battlefield, which lets you copy another enchantment. So it's like you can copy enchantment, and then you can potentially copy other enchantments too, which is cool. Dance of the Manse. Return up to X target artifact or or enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Okay. So basically, you can return a bunch of enchantments or artifacts from your graveyard, and then if it's 6 or more, so if it's 8 mana total, then there are also 4/4 creatures. So good for enchantment decks. Matter Reshaper, 3 mana 3/2. When it dies, you get the top card of your library. You can put that card onto the battlefield if it has 3 mana or less. Otherwise, you put it in your hand. Yeah, good card advantage for that one. Luminous Angel, 7 mana. Also good for reanimation, because every turn you get a 1/1 into play. So yeah, but I don't think I don't use 7 mana for 4/4 generally isn't very good, but good ability though. Equilibrium, I think this is another good one for a deck like mine that has relies on coming to battlefield effects or leaving the battlefield effects. So when you cast a creature spell, you can pay 1 mana to return another creature to its hand. Oath of Teferi, 5 mana. When it enters the battlefield, exile another permanent control, then return it to the battlefield at the next step. And then you can activate the loyalty abilities of planeswalkers you control twice each turn. I think good for planeswalker decks, right? Discard Tomb, 3 mana. Whenever one or more creatures leave your graveyard, you get a 1/1 black creature token. So leave your graveyard. I guess if you have some reanimation deck or something, it's good. Phantasmal Image. I use this card in a lot of my decks. It's so cheap, 2 mana. and then it enters the battlefield, and you can just copy another creature. And I know it dies when something targets it, but it's just so cheap, 2 mana. Generally, it's good. Ravenous Baloth, 4 mana, 4/4. You sacrifice a beast, which includes this thing, then you gain 4 life. It was pretty good back in the day. Nowadays, not as good anymore. Blade Splicer, 3 mana, 1/1. But when it comes to the battlefield, you get a 3/3, and then that 3/3 essentially has first strike. So I use this with a lot of the stuff like Equilibrium, for example, right? You just keep on, return it to your hand, put it back on the battlefield. You get another 3/3 each time. Morphling, pretty iconic card because back in the day it was considered really powerful. Not anymore. But 5 mana for 3/3, 1 mana to untap, 1 mana to gain flying, 1 mana to give it Shroud, and then you can do 1 mana to adjust the power and toughness. So because it has so many abilities, it was considered a really good creature back in the day and the Urza Saga, but nowadays it's like whatever. It's not that so much more powerful creatures nowadays. Same thing, Phantom the Shobo was considered really powerful back then. 7 mana for 7/7. Trample, and then as lifelink, and then when with damage is dealt to it, instead of taking damage, you just remove a +1/+1 counter. So pretty hard to kill. Was a pretty powerful card back then. Jace the Living Guild Pack, 4 mana, 5 for Planeswalker, 5 counters. Then the first one, you look at the top 2 cards, put 1 of them in graveyard, 3 mana, return a non-land permanent, so Boomerang to his owner's hand. And then 8, the ultimate is each player shuffle 6 or graveyard into library, draw 7 cards, like a reset. Yeah, so it's okay. Not great. Jace, Architect of Thought. These are the Jaces that are not so good, actually. Until your next turn, creature opponent control get +1/-0. That's not a pretty crappy ability. Reveal the top 3 cards, and opponent separates those cards into 2 piles. Okay, so it's like a mini Factor Fiction effect. Ultimate, each player switch out player's library for a non-land card, exile it, shuffles your library. You may cast those cards without paying the mana cost. I mean, it might be good in multiplayer, but underwhelming, I'd say. Ultimate. Soul Foundry, this is a cool card. 4 mana, you imprint, you remove a creature card from your hand, and then you pay that mana to put a token of, like a copy of that card as a token. And you can do this as many times, of course, as you can tap it and have the mana. So, yeah, you basically have a factory where you can keep on creating a creature that you put on it. So that's pretty cool. Thornling, 5, oh, yeah, this is like the green version of Morphling, right? So Morphling, and then the green version, Thornling. 5 mana for 4/4, and then 1 mana gain haste, trample, or indestructible, and then you can adjust the power toughness. And I think already by this time that it was already not considered like as good anymore to have these effects. Still good, decent creature, but yeah. Prophetic Bolt, 5 mana, deals 4 damage, and then you look at the top 4 cards, and it does an impulse effect. You put 1 of them in your hand, the rest on the bottom library. Yeah, it's okay. False Prophet, 4 mana for 2/2, but when it dies, you exile all creatures. So it's like a built-in Super Wrath, essentially. Oh, Exalted Angel. This used to be a very powerful card back then. So what people would do is, this morph cost is only 4 mana. So basically, they would always morph it, and then you basically get 4 mana for 4/5 for flying lifelink, which is generally considered to be a pretty good deal back then. Nowadays, it's like whatever. Again, it's not as good anymore, but back then it was considered to be a pretty good deal. 4 mana for 4/5 flying lifelink. Yeah, now you just like what? You got, you can pay 1 more mana, you get Baneslayer Angel. Right, Ant Queen, 5 mana, 5/5, 2 mana, and you can pay this 2 mana as many times as you have 2 mana, but you get a 1/1 on the battlefield, so it's good for token decks. Blinking Spirit, very old card. 0 mana, return it to your hand. Essentially, this creates a very annoying creature, because if it's 0 mana, you can just return it to your hand, and it can never die. Like, if it's about to die, you just return it to your hand. So, it's just a very annoying creature. It's not very powerful, though. Definitely not a powerful card, but yeah. Skullbriar, the Walking with 2 mana for 1/1 haste. When it deals combat damage, you get +1/+1, and then counters remain on it as it moves to any zone. So basically, if it's in the graveyard, you keep the counters on it. This is pretty interesting. Enigma Sphinx, 7 mana. That's pretty hefty cost. 5/4 flying. So when it dies, you put it into a library 3rd from the top. So it essentially never really dies. You always get it in your library. And then when you cast it, you get the cascade effect. So you get to, when you play it, you get to play a card for free from your deck. You know, from the top of your deck until you get a 6 mana or less card. So yeah, that's pretty powerful. That's probably why it costs that much. Humility. This is a really powerful effect, enchantment. Each creature loses all abilities and is a 1/1 creature. So that's very, very powerful enchantment. Purity. 6 mana for 6/6 flying. If a spell or ability deals damage to you, prevent it, you gain life. And then when it's put in a graveyard, you get it back into your deck. So it never really dies. Cool. Psychic Possession, 4 mana. Oh, okay. This was like good for my mill decks, basically. So I skip my draw step. Whenever they draw a card, I draw a card. So basically, if I have a mill deck, then I use this on the opponent. Whenever they draw a card, I also draw a card, but I actually don't. Yeah, so basically, whenever champion draws a card, you may draw a card. Yeah, I think it may be good in that situation. I use this in a very specific deck. I forget. It may have been a mill deck or something like that. I forget. I remember it's a very specific situation where I would need to use this card. Yeah, something like that. Actually, yeah, it was basically whenever the opponent draws a lot of cards and I can benefit from it. Verdoloth the Ancient. Oh, it's for a sapling deck. So 7 mana 4/7, pretty old card. Then you have a Kicker, which is invasion mechanic. All other tree folk and shaft saplings get +1/+1. When it comes to play, you get that many 1/1 tokens. So not a powerful card by today's standards, but for a token deck back in the day, I think it was good. Okay, Squee. I think this is a card that can be abused pretty easily back then. 3 mana for 1/1, and then every turn, if it's in your graveyard, return it to your hand. So if you have any kind of effect that requires you to discard a card, then this is obviously pretty good. You get it back every turn. Noxious Gearhulk, 6 mana 5/4 menace, which means it has to be blocked by 2 or more creatures. When it enters the battlefield, you can destroy another creature. If a creature is destroyed, you gain life equal to its toughness. So I think decent for a reanimation target, but just considering it destroys something when it enters the battlefield. Gerard Capuchin, very important character in the Magic the Gathering lore, but the card itself is not that good. It's 5 mana for 3/4. Every turn, you get 1 life for each card in the opponent's hand. And then tap target creature for 4 mana. That's really expensive. The card itself is not that good, but the creature itself is very important in Magic's history. And I think I have all the Weatherlight characters, right? No, I have Squee, Gerard, and I have Orem here, who's 3 mana, 1/3, and then tap to prevent 3 damage. Nah, it's just okay. Tangarth, 5 mana for 4/4, also part of the Weatherlight. He has Vigilance. 2 mana, do damage equal to its power. So essentially, this is like a fight ability. Yeah, fight ability. So it's okay. Stark, part of the Weatherlight as well. Tap to destroy target artifact or creature, but then that creature's controller gains control of him. So not very good. And then Hannah, also part of the Weatherlight. 3 mana for 1/2, and then 3 mana return target artifact or enchantment card. So good for artifact or enchantment decks. Krovax, who eventually becomes Ascendant Invencar, 4 mana, and then it's a vampire with 4/4, and then every turn you sacrifice a creature to give him another +1/+1, or you remove a +1/+1, and plus you can gain flying. So yeah, a guy that probably requires a lot of maintenance. Not really good, but hey, it's a very old card. And then this one, 2 mana. Whenever you draw a card, you get a counter. 3 mana. Remove 4 counters and then create a 4/4. Yeah, I think good for good for decks when you obviously have some kind of drawing mechanism. Okay, Mikaeus the Lunarch. So it's X mana. So you get that many counters. You can tap every turn to give it another counter, or you can remove a counter to put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. It's good for White Weenie decks. Aetherling. So we have another Morphling clone here. 6 mana for 4/5. You can exile it to kind of shift it. So this makes it hard to actually kill. And then make it unblockable, or you get a +1. You can adjust the power toughness. So another Morphling clone. Mystic Enforcer, 4 mana for 3/3 pro black. Threshold, so 7 more cards in your graveyard, and it becomes 6/6 flying. Yeah, it was good for the time, not anymore. Victory's Herald, 6 mana for 4/4 flying. When it attacks, attacking creatures gain flying lifelink until end turn. Yeah, decent ability. Leech of the Tangles, 8 mana for 8/8 trample. When it deals damage, you can choose any number of lands and put an awakening counter. Each of them becomes an 8/8 elemental creature. Wow. Any number of lands I control. So basically, if I deal, so it's trample too, but then when I deal any damage, even 1, I can choose any number of my, I can make all my lands an 8/8. That's crazy. Island Sanctuary. Okay, this is a part of my mill deck at one point as well, or my lockdown deck actually, my stall deck. 2 mana. It's a really old card. You don't even see any kind of expansion symbol. It's so old. 2 mana. Basically, every turn I can choose not to draw a card, and then the next turn, only creatures that can attack me are those that fly or have island walk. And that's so basically, if I have another ability that makes me draw cards, like a Howling Mine or something, then I can still draw cards every turn with some other artifact ability or creature ability, and then I just don't draw my regular card, and then basically prevents my anybody from attacking me except for people, creatures with fly or island walk. Stroke of Genius, very popular card for combos back in the day. So it's just says target players draws X cards. So it's very expensive by today's standards, but I think back in, well, it's actually just very expensive, but I think back in those other days when you have infinite combos and infinite mana going on, then you can use this card to just basically deck someone. So I think that's what they use. They use like Tolarian Academy and other cards to basically generate a whole bunch of mana, and then they can just make someone draw their entire deck, which, you know, that will eliminate them. So 4 mana. So this one, Custody Soulbinders, X +1/+1 counters, 3 mana, remove a +1 creature 1/1. Okay, that's a pretty slow ability actually. Not that good. Soul Diviner, 2 mana for 2/3, you remove a counter to draw a card. Nah. Oh, this is another good reanimation card. It's kind of like a Chroma. So it's like 8 mana for 6/6, flying for strike, vigilance, lifelink, pro red, and green. So it's kind of like an Chroma type creature. There's a lot of abilities. Predator Flagship, 5 mana, 2 mana to make something gain flying, and then 5 mana to destroy anything with flying. So basically 7 mana to kill any creature on the field. Yeah, that's a lot of mana though. Oh, okay, so this is another good reanimation target. This is a lot of mana cost, but 6/6 flying, and then end of turn you gain 3 life, it's untapped. Otherwise, each opponent loses 3 life. So basically if it's tapped, then each opponent loses 3 life. Otherwise you gain 3, okay. I might still prefer this Sphinx better. Okay, Wheel of Sun and Moon. I think this is a alternative to Soldevi Digger, I think. Yeah, because if a card we put into your graveyard from anywhere, then you put it on the bottom of your deck. So it's an anti-decking one. If you like, someone keeps trying to deck you, you can use this kind of, yeah, I think it's anti-decking almost. Thunder Dragon, 7 mana 5/5. It enters the battlefield, does 3 damage to each creature without flying. So it's good board wiper. 8 mana for 6/6, another dragon here. Whenever a dragon control attacks, create a 6/6 dragon creature token. Wow. Well, I mean, you gotta have other dragons on the battlefield, first of all. But I guess if this one attacks, you also get a 6/6. And then when those dragons attack, you also get 6/6. So if you don't stop this thing very soon, you're gonna get out of control. Yeah, because the 6/6 that this thing creates other 6/6s. Vexing Devil, 1 mana for 4/3 is pretty insane, but then when it enters the battlefield, you can do 4 damage to sacrifice it. So basically, it's either 1 mana for 4/3 or 1 mana for 4 damage. I think either way is good, so that's a good card. Skyship Weatherlight, this is the Weatherlight that the ship is, the whole block actually was named Weatherlight, essentially after the crew of the Weatherlight. So this is a pretty important ship in the Magic the Gathering lore. So it comes into play, you search your library for any number of artifact or creature cards, and then 4 mana, you get one of those cards at random. The ability is pretty underwhelming for how important this thing is, artifact is to the lore of Magic. Transcendent Master, 3 mana, and then it's a 3/3, but you can level up. So if you get 6 counters on it, then it becomes a 6/6 lifelink. Then if it has 12 counters or more on it, then it's indestructible, and it's a 9/9. Okay, I think level up would be good if you have a lot of like mana generation stuff. Silver Seraph, another throwback creature. I think that was good back then, but not anymore. It's 8 mana for 6/6 flying, but Threshold, all the creatures you control get +2/+2. Mega Glorious Anthem type effect, but probably overcosted now. Fledgling Dragon, for what it does. Fledgling Dragon, 2/2 for 4 mana flying. A Threshold, then it becomes a Shivan Dragon. Okay. Yeah, it was good back in the day. Underwhelming now. Call of the Claw, 3 mana 2/2 flash, so it can be played on your opponent's turn. Then enters the battlefield, you get 2/2 token for each non-token creature put in the graveyard from the battlefield this turn. Good for like your opponent Wrath of Gods or something. You play that. Angel Salvation, 8 mana for 5/5 flash. Convoke, which means you can, if you have like a bunch of creatures, you can reduce the cost. Comes into play, you prevent the next 5 damage that would be dealt. Yeah, very strategic, I think, to play that. What's this? Roll less. 5 mana, 4/5 flying trample. Enters the battlefield. You get 2+1/+1 counters on another creature. When it dies, you proliferate, then proliferate again. So basically, when it dies, you double the amount of counters on something, and then you double it again. Good for counter decks. Moonveil Dragon, 6 mana, 5/5 flying. Each creature you control gets +1/+0. So it's like a mega fire breathing. Yeah, cool. Jiang Yanggu, it's a planeswalker. 5 mana, 4, and then target creature gets +2/+2 for its first ability. If you don't control a creature, you create a 3/3. So you can only do this once as long as you have that one out. You get his second ability is just to create a 1/3/3, and then his ultimate is target creature gains trample +6/+6. Okay. Yeah, so it's kind of underwhelming. Rogue Spray Wings, 6 mana for 6/5 flying haste. That's pretty, pretty simple, but effective, I guess. Just a normal 6/5 flying haste for 5 mana. 6 mana. Honestly, there's much better dragons to play. Play Slagworm, 8 mana, 8/8. Can't be. Oh no, 7 mana for 8/8 actually. And it's hexproof. Yeah, so it's going to be hard for it to target or remove. I think you would just block it, but it's hard to remove, so that's good. Silvos Rogue Elemental is 6 mana for 8/5 trample, and then you can regenerate it. So this is an annoying creature because it has so much power and it has trample, and then you can, and because of less toughness, it's easy to kill, but then you can regenerate it. So it's a nicely designed card actually for that mana cost. Decree of Justice. Oh, this is a double X. That's going to take a lot of mana. But so you put X 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying into the battlefield. So yeah, I don't know how many people would actually pay that full cost. That's a lot. But when you cycle it, which is only 3 mana, you can pay X to put X1 white creature tokens, and then you draw a card. I think cycling is probably going to be much more used. Honor Hydra is 6 mana, and good for white weenie decks. Honor Hydra, 6 mana, 6/6 trample, and then Embalm, you exile it from your graveyard to create a token that's a copy of it. So the Embalm actually costs less. So initially it's a 6 mana for a 6/6 trample, which is not that great, honestly, in Modern Magic, but then it comes back as a 4 mana for 6/6 trample, so it's okay. Two-Headed Dragon. I think this is a cool card back in the day. 6 mana for 4/4 flying, and it has double fire breathing, and then it can't be blocked except by 2 more creatures, and it can block an additional creature because it has 2 heads. So I think it's just cool from a design standpoint. It's not a very powerful card actually, but it's from a design standpoint, it's cool. Skyship Stalker, 4 mana, 3/3, is fire breathing, first strike, and haste. Yeah, decent. Molimo, okay, 7 mana, trample, it's okay, equal to the number of lands you control. So yeah, obviously if you have a lot of lands, it's good. Glorious Anthem, 3 mana, all creatures you control get +1/+1. Pretty simple and sweet, really widely used in a lot of white weenie decks back in the day. Friction Processor, cool looking art from back in Urza Saga. So when you play it, you can pay any amount of life, and then 4 mana to create a creature that's the amount of life that you paid. So pretty cool design actually. Like say you pay like 4 life, I guess would be good. And then you pay 4 mana to put a 4/4 into play. And that's okay. I think Soul Foundry would still be better, but yeah. Oath of Gideon, 3 mana, you enter the battlefield, you get 2 creature tokens, and each planeswalker gets an additional loyalty counter. So good for planeswalker decks. Ladrame's Call, 2 mana, search your library for a creature card and put it in your hand. Pretty simple and easy to use. Nice. Good for combo decks probably. Mechanized Production, 4 mana, enchant artifact. Huh, that's not common. Oh, so at the beginning of your upkeep, you get a token that's a copy of enchanted artifact. Then if you have 8 or more, you win the game. Okay, that's pretty cool. Obviously for artifact decks. Icefall Regent, so 5 mana 4/3 flying. When it enters the battlefield, you tap a creature. That creature doesn't tap during their turn anymore. Then spells that target this cost 2 more. Yeah, bit of an annoying card. That's about it. Choir of the Gitu, 3 mana for 2/2. 2 mana to remove a card from your hand to gain Suspend, and you get 4 time counters. So basically, you can cast any card in your hand, regardless of the mana cost, just by waiting 4 turns for it and paying this 2 mana. Shivan Worm, 5 mana, 7/7, trample. When it comes into play, you have to return a creature to your hand, which actually might be a good thing if you have like something like a Flame Tongue Kevu, which is, I guess, how it was played back then. Again, was good back in the day, but probably not anymore. Sabertooth Neshoba, same thing, 6 mana, 5/5, trample, pro red and blue. Very solid creature for back in the day. but not anymore. Yeah, nowadays it's been outclassed. These cards have been outclassed these days, but they were good back in the day. Spirit Bonds, 2 mana. Whenever non-token creature, you pay 1 mana to get another 1/1. And then target non-spirit creature gains indestructible until end turn. Okay. Yeah, good for White Weenie. Skyline Despo, for 7 mana, 5/5. When it enters battlefield, you become the Monarch. And then each turn, if you're the Monarch, you have 5/5. No, that's I wonder. So that's only if this card's still in play, right? And he still has that effect. Gather Specimens. So this is for my blue control deck, 6 mana. So you play this on your opponent's turn. So if a creature will come to play under your opponent's control, and it comes into play under your control. So basically, if they're creating a whole bunch of tokens or whatever, then you get all that. So that's nice. Chlorophant, I think it's just a cool creature from a design standpoint. It's like that Rushwood Elemental guy. 3 mana for 1/1, then every turn you get +1/+1, every turn it grows. And then if you have Threshold, then it grows twice as fast, basically, which is a cool design. Hydrodon, 5 mana, 3/4, trample. When it deals combat damage, you can draw a card, which is good because that's trample. 3 morph. So I think the 3 morph cost is definitely more, yeah, likely. Gigapede, 5 mana for 6/1, essentially a Shroud. Then every turn, if it's in your graveyard, you can discard a card to return to your hand. No, yeah, it's not that good by today's standards. Twincast. It's a blue version of Fork, so it's 2 mana. You can copy an instant sorcery spell you play. You can choose new targets. Pretty cool card for blue decks, obviously. That has a lot of instances of sorcery. Usually blue has a lot of instances of sorcery, so. Thicket Elemental, 5 mana for 4/4, not very special. But if you pay the kicker, which means you have to pay like 7 mana, then you get a creature card from the top of your deck into play for free. Yeah, so essentially you pretty much always want to pay the kicker, because 5 mana for 4/4 is underwhelming. Symbiotic Worm, yeah, this might be one of the cards you get, right? 8 mana for 7/7, then when it dies, you get 7 1/1s. So, might be one of the creatures you might want to sacrifice. Living Hive, there's another card you can get from the Thicket. 8 mana, 6/6 trample, and when it deals combat damage to a player, and it's trample, let's keep that in mind, that's good, you get that many 1/1s, so good for token decks. But again, this is a lot of mana for these guys, so you probably want to cheat them out somehow. Or reanimate them. Shrimp's Expertise, 4 mana, create 3 1/1s. You can cast a card with 3 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. Oh, that's good. So you essentially get a card for free. Like you cast a card for free, essentially. You paid 4 mana, and then you get 3 1/1s. So you got the 3 1/1s almost like actually almost for 1 mana. Noise Annex, I think I use this for like some stall decks. So 3 or 5 mana actually, but you can pay it with 3 in life as well. Creatures can't attack you or planeswalker unless the controller pays either white mana or 2 life for each of those creatures. So good for stall decks, lockdown decks. Loxodon Gatekeeper, another good one for stall decks. 4 mana for 2/3, and then artifact creatures and lands opponent's control come into play tapped, which is very annoying for them. Goring Ceratops, 7 mana for 3/3, but it's double strike, which means it actually does 6 damage. And then when it attacks other creatures, you will gain double strike until end of turn. Yeah, that's pretty powerful. That's why it's 7 mana. Deep Forest Hermit, 5 mana for 1/1, vanishing 3, so it'll die in 3 turns. But when it enters the battlefield, you get 4 1/1s. So it's like a Squirrel Hermit guy. Yeah, it's like a different version of that Squirrel Hermit guy. Good for token decks. Dawn of Hope. Whenever you gain life, you can pay 2 mana to draw a card. And then 4 mana to create a 1/1. You can do that as many times as just 4 mana. So, yeah, a bit of a slower one for White Weenie decks. Requiem Angel, 6 mana, 5/5. Flying, whenever something non-spirit dies, you get a 1/1. Okay. Wind Reaver, this is another Morphling type of creature. 5 mana for 1/3 flying. You can make it gain vigilance +0/+1. You can switch the power and toughness or return it to its owner's hand. So yeah, another Morphling type creature with multiple abilities. Endling, another Morphling type creature. 4 mana for 3/3. This is the black version. So you can gain Menace, Death Touch, Undying. So when it dies, you can return to the battlefield. That would be annoying too. And then, yeah, another adjusting power and toughness. Whenever you have the adjustment, I think Wind Reaver technically doesn't have it, but yeah, I think of these cards as mostly Morphling type cards. Quicksilver Dragon, 6 mana, 5/5, flying. And then if a target has spells only 1 target, and it's this, and the target's this one, then you can change the target to another creature. Okay, so you can kind of deflect something. And the morph cost is only 1 mana less. Nah, it's not that great actually. This is an updated version of the Master Core. Razormaid Master Core, 5 mana for 5/5 first strike. And every upkeep, you still gotta discard a card, just like the original Master Core. And then every turn, you can deal 3 damage to a creature. So it's like almost like a revised version of the Master Core. Yeah. This one can't regenerate though, but it does have first strike and deals 3 damage. But the other one, you can potentially deal more. Yeah. Anyways, I think in general, maybe the Razor Mane's a little bit better. Yeah. Arcanus. Yeah, this guy is pretty cool. 6 mana, 3/4. You can tap to draw 3 cards, so it's a built-in Ancestral Recall. And then you have 4 mana to return it to your hand, so you can actually save it from any situation if you have the mana. This is a classic card, Neverwhelm's Disc. It used to be really popular back in the day for board wipes. So you have 4 mana, you gotta wait a turn because it comes into play tapped. But then you can pay 1 mana to destroy all artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. So it's basically a board wipe. This was basically the OG artifact board wipe before Oblivion Stone and all those. Rising Waters, 4 mana, lands don't untap. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player untaps a land. Yeah, this is a very annoying card for opponents to deal with. For everyone to deal with, actually. It's basically like a stall card. Bioset's Essence Hydra, 5 mana for 4/4 trample, enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter for each loyalty counter of Planeswalkers. So it's like for Planeswalker decks. And then whenever one or more loyalty counters put on Planeswalkers, you put, yeah, so basically it's for a Planeswalker deck. Mystic Crusader, 3 mana, 2/1, pro black and red. Then if you have Threshold, then it's a 3/2 flying pro black and red. I think even if it has Threshold, it's still like just okay, right, by today's standards. So it's actually kind of a weak card by today's standards. Soul New Friction, 6 mana, 6/6 trample. 5 mana, permanents you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Very useful. And then 5 mana, you can exile it from graveyard to gain indestructible. Even from the graveyard, you can use the ability once. Okay, that's going to be annoying to deal with. Back from the Brink, 6 mana, enchantment. You can exile a creature card from the graveyard and pay its mana cost to put a token onto the battlefield as a copy. So, yeah, essentially, if you have a card in graveyard, then yeah, you can pay the mana cost to kind of flashback it and then create a version of it, I guess, just once. Oh, Student Warfare, 1 mana, 1/1. You level up to get first strike, a level 2, and then level 7 double strike. Okay, pretty simple. Just okay. Icefall Regent. I think I talked about this card already. I don't know why I have it. Yeah, I should probably put this together. Another version, okay. Legion's Landing. Only 1 mana, legendary enchantment. Enters the battlefield, you get 1/1, vampire, lifelink. If you attack 3 or more, you transform it, and you transform it into what? This thing. You get, it turns into a land. It's an enchantment that transforms into a land, okay. This land adds 1 mana, and then you can also keep on creating 1/1s with lifelink with this land, okay. Yeah. It's okay, I guess, a bit slow. Scavenging Ooze, yeah. This card was popular at the time it came out. 2 mana for 2/2. Then 1 mana to exile a card from graveyard, and if it was a creature card, you get a +1/+1, you gain 1 life. So really good for controlling decks that use the graveyard a lot. Jedit, 6 mana for 5/5 Forest Walk, and then when attacks are blocked, you get a 2/2 token with Forest Walk. Nah, bit slow. 6 mana for 6/6 Teneb. When it deals combat damage, you can pay 3 mana to put a target creature card from graveyard. Oh, from any graveyard, not just yours. So if you do damage, you can pay 3 mana to put a target creature card from any graveyard into a battlefield under your control. That's pretty powerful. Rotting Register, 3 mana for 7/6. At the beginning of your upkeep, discard. This is what I'm talking about, power creep. See, this is a newer card, a newer M20. It's a newer card. All these newer cards are just ridiculously like overpowered compared to the older cards that we saw. 3 mana for 7/6, and the only drawback is you have to discard a card every turn. That might even be a good thing if you have a graveyard effects. Knight of the Reliquary, 3 mana for 2/2. It's +1/+1 for each land in your graveyard, and then you sacrifice Forest or Plains to get a land card. So keep in mind, Forest or Plains can be dual lands, and then any land card you put on the grave and to put on the battlefield, not even tapped. So that's actually pretty powerful, more than you would think. Mirari, this is a pretty cool card back in the day. 5 mana, it's a legendary artifact. When you play an instant or sorcery spell, you can pay 3 more mana to copy it. So any instant or sorcery, but you need to have the 3 mana. Pretty cool card for its time, I guess. It's a bit slow now. Brilliant Ultimatum. This is how much mana? It's 7. So you remove the top 5 cards, and opponent separates those cards into 2 piles. You may play any number of the cards, okay, without paying the mana cost. It's a fact or fiction, except you get to play the cards instead of just putting them in your hand. Okay, cool. A lot of mana though. Auburn Viper, I love the design of this card. It's not a very powerful card, but its design is great. 3 mana for 1/3. So basically it's a death touch ability. And then when it deals damage to a player, you draw a card. So yeah, either way, it's like if it deals damage to a creature, that creature dies. If it deals damage to a player, you draw a card. It's really nicely designed, even if it's not that powerful by today's standards. Okay, Huat Li is a planeswalker, 5 mana. Gain life equal to the greatest power among creatures. You 0 to create a 3/3 dinosaur creature token. That's pretty good. Not bad. And then the ultimate is deal X damage divided as you choose. Okay. That's 0 to create a 3/3 every turn. It's pretty good. Lina, Selfless Champion, 6 mana, 3/3. Enters the battlefield, you get a 1/1 for each non-token creature you control. Then sacrifice creature you control power less, gain indestructible. Good for like decks, white weenie decks and stuff, but 6 mana is quite a bit. Omnixus Reunited, 5 for Planeswalker, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. That's pretty good ability. You draw an extra card every turn. 1 life is not a lot to lose. I mean, think about Dark Confidant, right? Dark Confidant, you draw an extra card every turn, but you lose life equal to the mana cost. This one, you're only losing 1 life. 3 to destroy target creature. That's really good. And then ultimate is opponent gets an emblem. Whenever player draws a card, you lose 2 life. Wow, that's a pretty good Planeswalker. Anaran Brush Hopper. Yeah, I remember when this card actually used to be pretty good. 3 mana for 3/4. You discard 2 cards to remove from the game. Basically to like save it from anything, you have to discard. You can discard 2 cards. Not very good by today's standards, but it was actually like pretty good back then, I guess. Kodama the North Tree, 5 mana, 6/4, trample, and it has Shroud. Yeah, it's okay costed for. Yeah, again, it used to be powerful, I guess. These days it might be a little bit too expensive. Dread, this is a cool creature. 6 mana, 6/6, Fear, can't be blocked except by black or artifact. And then whenever a creature does damage to you, destroy it. There's the No Mercy effect. And then when it dies, you get into your library. Cool card. Exquisite Archangel, 7 mana, 5/5, flying. If you would lose the game, instead exile this, and your life total becomes equal to your starting life total. That's interesting. Huh. I guess if you have something that you know would lose you the game, you can just play this and then combo it with that. And then you can reset the game, except you gain the effect of whatever you wanted to do. So that'd be interesting. Gale Powder Mage. Actually, I wonder, what if you copy this card? If you keep on copying this card, can you potentially just never lose the game? Yeah, Gale Powder Mage, 4 mana, 3/3, flying. When it attacks, you remove another creature from the game, you return it. So good for like cards with coming to play and exiting play effects. Or coming to the battlefield, exiting battlefield effects. Mother Runes, this used to be a really classic card because it's so cheap. It's 1 mana that you can use this card to gain protection. Like, yeah, just tap to gain any creature protection when coverage. And protection is a pretty powerful ability. So yeah, this is a really like cheap card for what it does. Because like, yeah, making something gain protection is actually really powerful. Thought Not Seer is 4 mana, 4/4. When it enters the battlefield, their opponent reveals their hand. You choose a null card, exile it, and when it leaves, target opponent draws a card. So it's actually good for taking a card away from the opponent. And it's actually taken away forever because it's exiled. Gilded Lotus. It's a black lotus. No, it is. It's a black lotus. It just costs 5 mana. And it actually you don't even need to sacrifice it. It's a black lotus that doesn't need to be sacrificed, but it costs 5 mana. Nantuku Shade, 2 mana for 2/1. I think when I saw this card initially, I was wondering, why is this card a rare? Because it's just 1 mana to gain +1/+1. But then my friend told me you can use this as many times as you want. And I guess in a mono black deck, that's actually really powerful. Yeah. Troll Aesthetic. This is actually, it was a staple back in the day. 3 mana, 3/2, hexproof, and 2 mana to regenerate. Very hard to get rid of. Very annoying. Soul the Harvest, 6 mana, 6/6. I guess Troll Aesthetic is not that great these days, but back then it was pretty good. Oh yeah, 6 mana for 6 trample. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield, you may draw a card. So good for decks with a lot of tokens and stuff, right? Oh no, the non-token. So I guess decks just good with a lot of creatures that are coming back in and out. But you can't even abuse it with tokens though. Okay, 7 mana for 6/6 flying. When it dies, you can put it on the top or bottom of your library. I guess if you're going to have a long game with attrition, then this card might even win you the game because it never really dies. Afara, 4 mana, 6/5, indestructible. And it's actually an enchantment creature. If you're so basically, Devotion white and blue, it has to be like a white-blue deck. It's an instant creature. Every turn you have another creature enter the battlefield, draw a card. So that's good for my deck that's white and blue that has creatures entering the battlefield a lot. Gruul Spellrigger, 3 mana, 3/3, Riot. It enters the battlefield with the choice of +1/+1 counter haste. Why do they have to keyword that? That seems like a... Didn't they really have to keyword something like that? Okay. Enters the battlefield with 1/+1/+1 haste. So it's like a 4/4 for 3 mana for 4/4 trample. And then you and this has hexproof as long as it's your turn. See, this is another power creep card. 3 mana for 4/4 trample. You and this has hexproof. Or 3 mana for 3/3 haste trample. Like, either way, it's a good card, I think. This is a power creep card. Words of Worship. I think I use this in my mill deck as well. 3 mana, and then instead of drawing card, you gain 5 life instead. So basically, if you're going to play like a War of Attrition and then have the opponent and yourself draw a lot of cards, then yeah, at the end game, your opponent will run out of cards, and then you can just keep using this to prevent yourself from being decked. Restoration Angel. I have this in my comes into play effect deck. I call that the Venser deck. 4 mana, 3/4 flying, flash. When it enters the battlefield, you can exile something and return it back to the battlefield, triggering any kind of entering or leaving battlefield effects. Twilight Shepherd, 6 mana. And by the way, you can keep on doing this even if you do it with this one, right? So if you have something that exiles this card and you have another Restoration Angel, then you can kind of trigger each other. Twilight Shepherd, 6 mana, 5/5 flying vigilance. Enters the battlefield, return to your hand all cards in the graveyard that were put into from the battlefield this turn. Okay, it's pretty good. And it persists too, so it comes back to do it again. Nantuku Mentor. Not a very good card nowadays, but I think it was... I have sentimental feelings for this card because I pulled it from a booster pack when I was a kid. 3 mana for 1/1, and then 3 mana to double something's attack and power. Attack and toughness. So yeah, again, not a great card by any standard. Even back then, it wasn't great, but sentimental value because I pulled it from a booster pack, and it was the first rare I pulled from a booster pack back then. Aegis Angel, 6 mana, 5/5 flying. When it enters the battlefield, another thing gets indestructible. I think I had this card. Did I talk about this card before? Aegis Angel. I remember seeing this card before and talking about it. Huh. Yeah, I could have swore I talked about... Yeah, here it is. Yeah, I don't even remember how many copies I have. Oath of Druids. This card was used in a lot of combo decks back in the day. Actually, there was a deck just using this card, Oath of Druids. Every turn, a player chooses a player that controls more creatures, and then the first player may reveal cards from the top of the deck until it reveals a creature card, puts it in the battlefield. All of the cards on the graveyard. So I think how this was used was they have something like a Forbidden Orchard that produces a creature for the opponent, and of course you don't have any creatures, so this thing triggers. And then basically you don't really have anything else in your deck except for this one creature that will gain a lot of power and toughness from everything in your graveyard. So I think that's how that deck worked. You just put into you just have like one creature in your deck that has like very huge effect or something. All right, Scalp Alexis. 5 mana for just a 1/5 flying, but when it deals combat damage, that player removes the top 4 cards. And if 2 of those cards have the same name, you do it again. So this can potentially remove an entire player's deck if they're unlucky enough. So that's pretty cool. Vampiric Dragon. It's definitely not a powerful card these days, but it's a cool card for the effect and the art and everything. 8 mana for 5/5 flying, and when it deals damage, you get a +1/+1 counter because it's a vampire. And then you can you can ping something to gain counters too. So it's a cool card in design, but it's definitely overcosted. You have another Gerard card here. 4 mana, 3/3, first strike. When it dies, you exile it, return to the battlefield. All artifact and creature cards are put there from the battlefield this turn. That's a much better card than the original Gerard. Sigil of the New Dawn. 4 mana. When a creature dies, you pay 1 mana to return it to your hand. So basically, potentially saving any of your creatures. Cool. Glory. 5 mana for 3/3 flying. So this thing has to be in your graveyard for this effect to happen, but you can do 3 mana. Creatures you control gain protection from the color of your choice in the end of turn. That's actually a really powerful effect. So, but this needs to be in the graveyard. Elderwood Scion, 5 mana for 4, trample and lifelink. Spells that target it cost 2 less to cast, and spells your opponents cast the target cost 2 more to cast. Okay, it's okay. Ever-Watching Threshold, 3 mana. Whenever an opponent attacks you or a planeswalker, draw a card. That's actually pretty cheap for what it does. And it's good for lockdown decks, I guess. Fido Titan, 6 mana for a 7/2. And when it dies, you return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner control. Yeah, this thing never really dies, I guess, because it always comes back. And it's a 7/2. So it's like, it can kill pretty much anything and just come back. That's pretty cool. But 6 mana. Knight of Soul's Betrayal, 4 mana, all creatures get -1/-1. Yeah, I think this will just instantly kill a lot of token decks, which is cool. Baleful Strix, 2 mana for 1/1. Why is this a rare? It doesn't seem like it should be a rare, but I think it's just, it does, like, it's flying and Death Touch. So Death Touch means it can potentially kill anything, right? It can kill, like, yeah, this 7/2, for example. But, yeah, it can kill anything. Then it enters the battlefield, draw a card. It's good for decks that, well, it's just generally, I think, a well-costed card for what it does. So it can kill anything, and then you get card advantage out of it, and it's relatively cheap at 2 mana. So I think that's why it's a rare. Spawn Wraith, 3 mana for 2/2 trample. When it deals combat damage, you create a copy of this thing. That's a pretty cool effect. It just replicates itself. Each of those things also replicates itself. That's cool. Cool for token decks. Skylasher, 2 mana, 2/2 flash, can't be countered, reach, protection from blue. I think you would use this against, well, yeah, blue decks that don't know what to expect, I guess. Like, you can use it against this Baleful Strix, for example, and just block it because there's reach, and kill it. Surprising effect with flash. Nether Spirit, 3 mana for 2/2, and then every turn, if it's the only creature card in your graveyard, you may return it to the battlefield. It's not very powerful by today's standards, but I think back in the day, this is actually an old card. Back in the day, some decks were actually built around it. Gifts or Immortality, 3 mana. When it dies, you return it to the battlefield, and then you return this to the battlefield attached to the creature. So this is an example of something that's actually much more powerful in the Nether Spirit. But yeah, you can trigger the enter the battlefield, leaves battlefield effects a lot. Fleece Main Line, another example of power creep. 2 mana for 3/3, first of all, is very good. And then 5 mana, you get a +1/+1 counter, and then has hexproof and indestructible. Those two combined makes it extremely hard to get rid of. You have to use like a remove all, exile all, or return all creatures effect to get rid of it. Otherwise, it's very hard to get rid of if it has hexproof and indestructible. Braids Cabal Minion, 4 mana, 2/2. Every turn that player sacrifices an artifact, creature, land. Yeah, pretty annoying card. Pariah, 3 mana. All damage shall be dealt to you is dealt to enchant a creature instead. So you put this on a creature that, like, is indestructible, basically, or has protection. Reborn Hero, 3 mana, 2/2, as Vigilance. When it dies, you can pay 2 mana, you can return it to play. So it can be hard to kill, I guess. Sun Titan, 6 mana, 6/6. When it enters the battlefield, attacks, you may return target permanent card with converted mana cost 3/3 or less, like this card, for example. So, yeah, that can also be an annoying card. This is a cool card, Serra Avatar. 7 mana. Its power and toughness are equal to your life total. So if you have 20 life, which you start out with, this will be a 20/20. And then when it dies, you put it into your library. So it never really dies, and it also can be potentially massive. It was a really cool creature, I think, back when still is, but it was really powerful when it came out back in the day. Nowadays, it's like whatever, right? You can just kill it, and 7 mana is quite a bit. Okay, 5 mana, return target permanent card from graveyard to your battlefield. Permanent card. Okay, so that's pretty versatile. Black Vice. Oh, old school, very old school. If an opponent has more than 4 cards, Black Vice deals 1 damage in excess of 4. So potentially 3 damage up to 3 damage every turn. So good against control decks, I think. Nullstone Gargoyle, 9 mana. I think this is for reanimation. Who's going to pay 9 mana? 9 mana for 4/5. Whenever the first non-creature spell each turn is played, counter that spell. Yeah, that's a pretty powerful ability, but 9 mana, wow. This card is 10 mana for 13/13, and each upkeep you sacrifice unless you pay 2 as morph. But the morph is still 9 mana. Yeah, it's really not that good. Doesn't even have trample. I mean, 13/13 is big, but no trample, then yeah. Zer's Weirding, 4 mana. You play with your hands revealed. If a player would draw a card, you can reveal it, then any other card can pay 2 life to put in the graveyard and draw a card. Kind of a weird card to use, I think. Yeah, that's a kind of a weird card to use. But some combos might use it. Yennet, Cryptic Sovereigns. 5 mana for 3/5, Flying, Vigilance, and Menace. When it attacks, you get you look at the top card. If its mana cost is odd, you can pay it without casting the mana cost. Otherwise, you draw a card. That's a pretty good card. Either way, it's good, right? You get to play something for free or draw it. Angelic Chorus, 5 mana. Whenever a creature comes to play, gain life equal to toughness. That's good for decks with, a lot of creatures that come back into play, and go back to the hand. Like my deck that's like that. Casualties of War, 6 mana. You can choose one or more. So you can choose actually potentially all of them. Destroy target artifact, creature, enchantment, land, and planeswalker. Yeah, potentially high value card there. Howlin' Spear Carrier, 3 mana, 3/2 vigilance. When it dies, get X one white creature's token, find the battlefield, X's number of creature cards in your graveyard. Yeah, that's potentially quite a bit for just 3 mana. Oath of Liliana, 3 mana, enters the battlefield. Each opponent sacrifices a creature, and then every turn, if a planeswalker entered the battlefield, you get a 2/2. So you'd have to play it with the planeswalker deck, I guess, to take full advantage of it. Fiendslayer Paladin, 3 mana, 2/2, first strike, lifelink, and can't be targeted black or red spells. So, solid creature for the cost, I guess. Saltred Ghoul, 7 mana. I think... Okay, yeah. I wonder if this could have been used with the Oath of Druids effect. But basically, when it comes into play, you remove any number of creature card you can from the game, and its power and toughness is equal to the total number of removed cards. So, yeah, I think if you reanimate this, then it can potentially just become like a 20/20 or higher and just end the game by itself. Angel Despair, I think I used this for reanimation before. Now I use something else. But 6 mana, no, 7 mana, 5/5, flying. And then when it comes into play, you can destroy anything. So, yeah, that's a pretty good ability, right? Any permanent, any land, creature, enchantment, artifact. Vastwood Hydra, X2, and then it comes to play X +1/+1. It dies, you can distribute any number +1/+1. So when it dies, it distributes its power and toughness. That's good. Dreadbore, 2 mana, destroy target creature or planeswalker. It's simple, it's cheap, solid card. Rhaego, King Eternal, 4 mana, 2/4, flying. When deals combat damage, exile any number target non-land permanent you control. Okay, so yeah, again, this is for those decks that have a lot of come into play. Release play effects. Precinct Captive, 2 mana, 2/2, first strike, deals combat damage, you put up 1/1. Yeah, good for white weenie decks. Oh, I love this card, Vindicate, 3 mana, destroy target permanent. So simple and well costed for what it does, right? So Dreadbore, 2 mana, but you can only destroy a creature or planeswalker. This one destroys anything on the field, just anything. 3 mana. Yeah, simple and sweet. Well costed. Dauntless Escort, 3 mana, 3/3, sacrifice, creature indestructible. Yeah, it's okay. Oath of Kaya, 3 mana, enters the battlefield, you can deal 3 damage and gain 3 life. When an opponent attacks planeswalker you control, it deals 2 damage, that player gain 2 life. I think it's well costed for what it does. Yeah, whenever they attack with one or more creatures. Your Tiller Nephilim. This is 4 different colors. That's pretty hard to cast. You gotta have like a 4-color deck. 2/2, but you can reanimate this, and I think this was one of my reanimation targets at one point. You have 2/2, but then when it attacks, you can return target creature card from your graveyard to play tapped and attacking. So yeah, that could be a good reanimation target. Achroma, Angel of Fury. So this is the red shifted version of Achroma. 6/6, can't be countered, flying, trample, pro white and blue, fire breathing, anamorph. Not quite as good as the original white, in my opinion. It's okay. Punish Ignorance. So this is like super counter spell, right? Counter target spell, its controller loses 3 life, you gain 3 life. Okay. Because it's the combination of Absorb and Undermine. Those are 2 other counter spells combined together. You got the 2 of the effects combined together, but 4 mana. Gideon Jura, 5 mana. Yeah, this is not bad, I think. During target opponent's next turn, they have to attack him. The destroy target tap creature is pretty good. And then it can become, it can potentially become a creature. Yeah, that's hard to kill. Somniphore, 4 mana, 2/2, flying. When it deals damage, tap target creature, and that creature does not tap. Yeah, I think this is an old card. It was good for the time, probably not anymore. Sekor, Deathkeeper, 5 mana, 4/3. When a non-token creature dies, get a 3/1 black red Greyborn creature hit with haste. Okay, so it could be good with sacrifice effects. Dawn Elemental, example of something you might put Pariah on. 4 mana, so it's like a mono white because it's 4 white. 3/3 flying, but prevent all damage that be dealt to it. So if you put something like redirecting all damage to this, that'd be good. Achroma's Vengeance, it's like a super Wrath of God, right? 6 mana, destroy all artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. Yeah, very, very powerful effect. I think well costed. Penumbra Worm, 7 mana for 6/6. Trample, when it dies, you get a 6/6. So, it was a good card for back in the day, but probably not anymore. It's just, yeah, it's just whatever now. It's just okay. Nevermore, 3 mana, enters the battlefield, name a non-land card. Name card can't be cast, so it's like a meddling mage as an enchantment. Death Grasp, this is a X card, deals X damage, you gain X life. I like these kind of cards. It's simple, and it's effective, and it's well costed, I think. Talran, Sky Summoner, 4 mana, 2/2. When you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 2/2 with flying, okay? It's okay. Amoeba. I think this is used in some combo decks. When it's put into your graveyard from your library, you may put it into play. So you would use it with a combo that mills your library. Something like the Oath of Druids effect, basically. That's used for combos, I think. Teferi's Moat. When it comes to play, choose a color. Creatures of the chosen color without flying can't attack you. I think when I played this against my friend, he asked if this card was banned. Because he had this elf deck. And elves don't really have flying, and they're mostly all green. So basically, when I played this card, I just said, yeah, green creatures without flying can't attack me. And none of his elves had flying, and he's like, that card should be banned. Oh, that's funny. Mad Rush Cyclops, 4 mana, 3/4, creatures control haste. Oh, good effect, I think. Well costed. Quicksilver Elemental, 5 mana, 3/4, and then 1 mana to gain all activated abilities of a creature until end of turn. That's cool. You may spend blue manas with any mana. Just a cool card, but probably not that powerful. Phage Untouchable. I remember this card being quite interesting. Like, a lot of people talked about it when it came out because of the effect. So first, it's 7 mana for 4/4. That's not good, but it has to enter the battlefield from your hand because you can't reanimate it. When it deals combat damage to a creature, that creature dies. But this one, whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. Yeah, that's a pretty powerful effect. That's what people were talking about. Anytime it just deals damage to a player, that player loses. So, yeah. Garzazel Plague Queen, 7 mana for 5/5, flying haste. Whenever it deals damage, is put in the graveyard. It gets +1/+1, so it's a vampire. And when it deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. That's a lot of abilities. But you'd probably want it as a reanimation target because that 7 mana is tough. Sarah Avenger, I like this card because it's only 2 mana. It's for a 3/3. But you can't cast it during your first 3 turns. But otherwise, it's a 2/2 for a 3/3 flying vigilance, which is well costed. Ice Fan Kotal, 2 mana for 1/1, flash, so you can play it on your opponent's turn, flying. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card, and it has Death Touch if you control 3 other snow permanents. Yeah, the snow permanence thing is a bit annoying. Otherwise, yeah, it's a cool card, but just the snow permanence thing. Murderous Rider, 3 mana for 2/3. I think this is a pretty good card. So you can either cast it so this is one of those cards you can play as an instant as well, even though it's a creature. You can use the instant ability to destroy a target creature or planeswalker. And then you can play as a creature. So then it's a 2/3 lifelink, and when it dies, you put it on the bottom of your library. It's a pretty versatile card. Solace Malcolm is a pretty cool card. It's actually designed by an Invitational, I think, player. 4 mana for 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, you get a land card, a basic land card, and then when it dies, you draw a card. So it's well costed for what it is, I think. It's like not overpowered, but at the same time, it's not underpowered either. It's just a pretty good design, I think. Mirror Incubator, 6 mana, sacrifice search your life for any number of artifact cards. Put that many 1/1 artifact creature token. I think I used this for a combo deck at one point. Maybe for Ironworks, maybe? Yeah, but I think just for combo decks. It's good. Undermine. So this is what the card I was alluding to when I was talking about that. This one, Punish Ignorance. Yeah, so part of this card includes Undermine. And this card is Undermine. So it's 1 mana less, but you don't gain that life because you don't have the other part of that card, which is Absorb. Helm of Awakening. This card is a trigger for a lot of combo decks, basically artifact combo decks, because 2 mana and all spells cost 1 less to play. You can imagine like how many combos this can cause, right? If you have an artifact deck, then all spells cost 1 less mana. Like, yeah, that's going to lead to a lot of combos. Scrap Heap. Whenever an artifact or enchantment is put in your graveyard from play, gain 1 life. So it's used in combo decks for me. Mishra's Helix, 5 mana, X mana, tap X lands. So every turn you can use this to kind of deny the opponent of mana, which is, yeah, good for lockdown. Okay, Ezio can't be countered. 2/1, Bushido 2. So when it blocks or become blocked, it becomes a 4/3. And it can pay 2 mana to regenerate. But yeah, it's probably not very... I think it's a bit overcosted still, like, compared to today's creatures. Junk Diver. When it dies, you get another artifact card from graveyard to your hand. So good for combos. True Believer, 2 mana, you can't be the target of spells or abilities. So that's a pretty cool effect. I just think this is a cool effect. You can't be the target of spells or abilities. Your opponent can't target you at all. So, yeah. Mobilization, 3 mana. Attacking doesn't cost those. So just don't have vigilance, and then you get 3 mana. You can use this as many times as you want. I think I talked about this card before. This is another one where I think I talked about it before. Yeah, here we go. This is the hollow version of it. I knew I had the hollow version of it. Okay. Yeah, here we go. Let's put the hollow version here. Okay. Read the runes, draw X cards. Each drawn card, discard a card. So this is actually good for threshold decks because you draw a bunch of cards and you discard a bunch of cards. And also good for graveyard decks. Lodestone Mirror, 4 mana, 2/2, trample, and then you tap an untapped artifact is +1/+1 during turn. Good for, I guess, artifact creature decks. Mystic Confluence, 5 mana, choose 3. You can choose the same mode more than once. So 5 mana, counter target spell, unless its controller pays 3. That's a mana leak. And then an unsummon, return target creature to its own hand, or draw a card. So all 3 of these are good. 5 mana is quite a bit, though. That's probably on the edge what I would consider to be kind of playable, but yeah. Amara, 2 mana, 2/2. Whenever it becomes tapped, you get a 1/1. Good for like White Weenie or token decks, kind of like that. Yeah, for token decks or just, yeah, something like that. Ivory Mask, 4 mana enchantment. You can't be the target of spells abilities. So basically, it's True Believer, but it's so I could say True Believer is Ivory Mask on a stick. But the thing is, Ivory Mask, why does it cost more? Because enchantments are harder to remove than creatures. So, yeah, that's why it costs a bit more than True Believer for the same effect. Okay, Dragon Lord Ojutai, 5 mana for 5/4 flying. It has hexproof as long as it's untapped, which means it can't be targeted by your opponent. When it deals combat damage to a player, you look at the top 3 cards, and then you have an impulse effect. You get one of them, the rest go on the bottom. Pretty solid for what it is, actually. Terminus, 6 mana, put all creatures on the bottom of its owner's libraries. And Miracle, you can cast this if it's the first card you draw. Yeah, this is actually potentially more powerful than a Wrath of God because some cards trigger when they go to the graveyard, and this card would prevent that from triggering. So that could actually be potentially more powerful. Story Circle. I use this in my stall deck or lockdown deck. So he has 3 mana, you choose a color, and then the next time a source of my choice would deal damage of that color, you prevent that damage. So yeah, I mean, if your opponent has like a 20/20 or 50/50, doesn't matter, right? As long as you choose that color, then you can just prevent it. So that's just single-handedly, you can just negate any kind of powerful creature your opponent has. Form Dragon, 7 mana. At the beginning of your upkeep, you do 5 damage, and then at the end of each turn, your life becomes 5, and creatures without flying can't attack you. So it's like, yeah, this is a pretty good, well-designed card, because it's like, you're a dragon, basically. You're a 5/5 dragon. You can only attack, only creatures without flying can attack, only creature with flying can attack you, and then every turn you do 5 damage with a fire effect. Pretty cool. It's used in some combo decks, I think. I think I used this in my Enduring Ideal deck back in the day. Giant Edifice, 7 mana, 7/7, trample. When deals combat damage, you create a token that's a copy of this thing. Wow. So this is another one of those creatures that I think is just straight up more powerful than a lot of the older creatures. Like 7 mana for 7/7 as trample. That's crucial because when it deals damage, you get a token that's a copy of this thing, which then can create its own copies, which are all 7/7s, right? It's pretty insane. Flood of Tears. I think it's good for reanimation. Flood of Tears, 6 mana. Return all non-land permanents to your owner's hands. Return 4 or more. You may put a permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. That seems like pretty one-sided. So that's actually a pretty cool card. Pretty good. Kaya's Guile. Oh, this is a pretty versatile card. 3 mana, instant. You can choose 2. Either each opponent sacrifices a creature, or you exile all cards from each opponent's graveyard, or you create a 1/1 with flying, or you gain 4 life. Or you can entwine to choose all of them. You would pay 6 mana for that. That's pretty versatile. Urtai, Wizard Adept, who is part of the Weatherlight. I think he should have been in that section. Yeah, he was part of the Weatherlight crew too. 3 mana, 1/1. He's a wizard, and 4 mana as a built-in counterspell. So just 4 mana straight up, he can counter spells. That's pretty powerful ability. Yeah, so I like that card. Angel Condemnation, 4 mana, 3/3, flying, vigilance, and then 3 mana to exile creature to return it back. 3 mana, you can exert it, and then exile another creature until this thing. So basically, exerted means this doesn't untap. So I guess it's good for cards, a deck with a lot of comes into play, leaves play abilities. Yep. Okay, we're ready for the next binder. take a look at what's in this one. Okay, so Isochron Scepter, pretty powerful card. So it's a 2-mana artifact, and it has this card was used a lot back then because you can exile instant with mana cost 2 or less, and then you can copy that card, and you can cast it without paying the mana cost. So basically, any instant with 2 mana or less, you can repeatedly use it, which is pretty powerful. And then I have 3 instants here that are examples of that, right? Like Serum Visions. And I think these can all be used in some kind of similar ways. So Serum Visions is 1 mana, draw a card, scry 2, which will kind of like manipulate your library a bit. Preordain with scry 2, then draw a card. So this is like the opposite of Serum Visions. And Ponder, which you look at the top 3 cards, put them back, and then draw a card. All these are pretty similar. I would say that I think for me, out of these 3, I think Ponder is probably the one I use the most, and then Preordain, and the Serum Visions is probably the weakest. So, because I think scrying 2, then draw a card is more powerful than drawing a card than scrying 2. Yeah. And Ponder is actually goes 3 deep, so that's even better. Voice of the Woods, 5 mana for 2/2. You tap 5 elves, and you get a 7/7 elemental with trample. So it's for an elf deck. Multani, okay, 6 mana, and its power toughness is equal to the total number of cards in all players' hands. So that's going to be more powerful in multiplayer, obviously. And a Shroud, so you can't even target it. So that's a pretty good card, especially for the day. Right, that's an old card. Okay, Chase Memory Depth, 5 mana, or you can draw a card. You can put top card in your graveyard. And then 0, so put the top 10 cards of your library into graveyard. So basically it's like a mill. Any number of target places you draw a 20 card. Yeah, this is for like mill decks. Pendulum Mists. Ooh, this is a annoying card. 4 mana. Every creature has, you gotta pay 1 mana every turn or they die. So, pretty annoying card to use for lockdown decks or stall decks. Arcane of Justice, 5 mana. 4/4, when it dies, exile anything on the battlefield. It's like the reverse of that Angel of Despair effect, right? Reverse Angel of Despair. Seraph of the Sword, 4 mana for 3/3, prevent all combat damage that be dealt to it. So, a weaker version of Dawn Elemental. Dawn Elemental, you just prevent all damage. This one's only combat damage, so you can still kill it with direct damage. Hungry Hydra is can't be blocked by more than 1 creatures. Whenever it's dealt damage, you put that many +1/+1 counters on it. It must survive the damage to get the counter. Okay, so you can still kill it, but if you don't kill it, then you'll just double the counters. So, Blinding Angel's cool. 5 mana for 2/4 flying, but when it deals damage to a player, that player skips the next combat phase. So potentially, if you don't kill this thing, that player can never attack again. So, yeah, it's actually a pretty cool card, especially at the time because it's an old card. Oversoul Dusk, 5 mana for 5/5, pro blue, black, and red. I like these cards. They're simple, well designed, powerful, well costed. Chomano Revolutionary, 4 mana 2/2. Yeah. So this is just straight up. I think the ability is better than Seraph of the Sword, but it doesn't have flying. Yeah, so it's 2/2, just straight up prevent all damage that would be dealt to it. So again, you put something on this thing that redirects damage. You're good. Bloodbraid Elf, 4 mana for 3/2, haste and cascade. So basically, this card was played a lot back in the day because you play it and then it's a decent creature by itself, but then you get a free card out of it, right? So that's good. Gigantomancer. So it's 8 mana for 1/1, which seems ridiculously overcosted, but then you pay 1 mana and target creature you control becomes 7/7 until end of turn. So you can make all your creatures 7/7s, so that's why it's so expensive. Linvala the Preserver, 6 mana 5/5, flying, enters the battlefield, if an opponent has more life, you gain 5 life. When it enters the battlefield, if an opponent has more creatures, you get a 3/3. That's potentially a lot of stuff you can do with that. Decent. Angel Sanctions, 5 mana 3/4, flying, enters the battlefield, you may exile target non-land permanent until it leaves the battlefield. Okay, so if it dies, they get it back still. But it has Embalm, so you can play it again as a zombie token. Kondo, Lord of Eljandro, 7 mana for 3/3 is not very good, but it has Vigilance, Bushido 5, which means it becomes an 8/8 when it's blocked or becomes blocked, and it's indestructible. So that makes the cost a little bit more reasonable, I think, for that. Yeah, it's a little bit more reasonable when you consider that. Yeah, indestructible, so yeah, if you redirect damage to it, that would be another cool thing. Okay, Vampire Nighthawk is an uncommon, but I put it in here because it's still a really good card. 3 mana, 2/3, flying, death touch, lifelink. I love these kind of cards. They're simply designed and well costed for what it does. Hostage Taker is 4 mana for 2/3. When it enters battlefield, you exile something, and you can cast a card for as long as it remains exiled. Yeah, it's a cool card for blue-black decks. Card advantage. Add a card Valkyrie, 6 mana for 5, flying vigilance, and then when another creature would die this turn, that creature comes back to life. So yeah, overall very powerful card. Walk the Aeon, 6 mana. Buyback means that you can get it back to your hand if you pay this cost. So you sacrifice 3 islands and then you can use it again. Target player takes an extra turn after this one. That's a powerful effect. So I understand why it costs 6 mana, because taking an extra turn is a pretty powerful effect. Okay, Jace, Unraveler's Secret. So 5 is square one, draw a card, turn target creature to one's hand. Yeah, it's okay. Sublime Archangel, 4 mana for 3, Exalted, and all of the creatures you control have Exalted. So basically, if you just have one creature to attack per turn, then that's good. Shalai, 4 mana, 3/4 flying. You planeswalkers you control, other creatures have hexproof. Oh, everything. Okay, so you planeswalkers and other creatures all have hexproof. That's pretty good for just 4 mana. Yeah, pretty good for planeswalker decks. Then 6 mana, but +1/+1. You splash green for that. Quicksilver Amulet, 4 mana. Then 4 mana, you put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. Obviously, if you have like cards that cost a lot of mana, then this is really good for that, right? Like those cards that cost like an obscene amount of mana, 7, 8, 9, and multicolored or whatever, really good for that. Meddling Mage, this is an invitational card that was designed. It's 2 mana for 2/2, and it's a pretty cool effect. I think it's the first time this effect was used. When it comes to play, you name a card, and that card just can't be played. So just a cool ability, I think, if you know the opponent's deck. Deathrite Shaman, 1 mana for 1/2. You can either exile a land card from graveyard, add 1 mana, or you can exile instant sorcery, then each opponent loses 2 life, or you can exile a creature card, you gain 2 life. So it's like a souped up version of the Scavenging Ooze, almost. Yeah. Strionic Resonator, cool card. This one, you can copy target triggered ability. So a triggered ability is like when something happens, when something dies, when something comes into the battlefield, you can copy it. That's really cool. You can use it in a lot of decks. Friction Crusader. I think this is just a cool card for the cost. 3 mana, 2/2. A lot of abilities. First strike, pro red, pro white, and effect. So 4 abilities. That's pretty good. Bear Escape, 3 mana. 2 mana, remove 2 cards from graveyard. You got a 2/2 bear token. Okay. Nah, not that great actually. Panharmonicon is another cool one. If an artifact creature entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability, that ability triggers an additional time. So again, really good for those decks that have a lot of enter-battlefield dies abilities. Eldrazi Displacer, 3 mana, 3/3. Devoid, this card has no color. So, but it's different than an artifact. 3 mana, exile another creature and return it to the battlefield. So again, another like one of those works with comes in the battlefield, dies effects. Elven Hydra, 6 mana, it's equal to the number of lands you control as reach. Enters the battlefield and may search your life for a land card, okay? It's alright. Supreme Verdict. Yeah, it's like a super Wrath of God, because it's the same amount of mana, you just need to have a blue in it. Can't be countered, and it destroys all creatures. So the extra thing is it can't be countered for that extra blue. Mystical Tutor, this is a really powerful card. 1 blue mana, you search your library for any instant or sorcery card, and then, yeah, you get it on top of your deck. That's really powerful for that cost. You can put on Isaacron's Scepter and do it every turn. Grinding Station, sacrifice an artifact, puts top 3 cards. When an artifact comes to play, you untap it. That's for combo decks. Ghostly Prison, 3 mana, creatures can attack you unless you control pace 2, which is the white shifted version of this card, Propaganda. Is the same effect, just this one is blue, this one's white. I use them both actually for my lockdown decks, or my stall decks. Lightning Greaves, this is a good card, 2 mana, very good equipment. Equip creatures haste and shroud, because the equip cost is only 0. That's insanely cheap for that. Aethergale, returns 6 target non-land permanents to his owner's hand for 5 mana, but it has to be 6. If you don't target 6, you can't play it. Sphere of Safety, 5 mana, creatures can attack you unless they pay X for each creature. Yes, kind of like Propaganda or Ghostly Prison, except it's 5 mana, so it's not as good. Doves, I already talked about this card, I think. Angel Jubilation, similar effect, 4 mana, 3/3. Flying, other non-black creatures get +1/+1. Players can't pay life or sacrifice creatures to cast spells or activate ability. Oh, that's actually pretty good. Good effect. Beacon of Unrest. So 5 mana, put artifact or creature card from graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. And you can reuse it because it goes back to your library. That's cool. Silverblade Paladin, I think I talked about this one already. Jadelight Ranger, 3 mana, 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, it explores, then explores again. So explores means you get the top card in your hand if it's a land. Otherwise, it gets a +1/+1 counter. So it's, yeah, it's decent for what it does. You get to look a bit deeper in your deck, or it becomes bigger. Wheedle Master Sphinx, 6 mana, 5/5 flying. Enters the battlefield, you may turn target creature to its owner's hand. It's okay. Mirren Crusader, 3 mana, 2/2, double strike, pro black and green. I like cards like this that just has a decent amount of abilities for what it is. It's 3 mana and you get 3 abilities or 4 abilities. It's good. Hypnotic Spectre, talked about it. Creeping Renaissance, 5 mana, choose a permanent type, return all cards of the chosen type from graveyard to your hand. And it's flashback. It's okay. Swords to Plowshares. This is a pretty powerful card. 1 mana, you remove target creature from the game. You're going to see it's really old. This is a powerful old card. Just 1 mana, remove anything from the game. The creature's control gains life equal to its power. That's a drawback, but it's not really a big drawback. Yeah, for removing a creature from the game. Not even killing it. I think I talked about this one already. Thragtusk. So this card has both an enter the battlefield and a leaves battlefield effect. So that's good for those other cards I talked about. Enters the battlefield, gain 5 life. Leaves the battlefield, you get a 3/3. So it's good to use with those effect cards I talked about. Tolzamir, 5 mana for 3/3. Enters the battlefield, you get 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, whenever a wolf enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life, and a creature fights up to 1 target creature. You can, like a wolf deck, basically. And then you have Tolzamir Wolfblood, so it's the same guy but a different card. 6 mana, 3/4. Other green creatures you control, white creatures get +1/+1. So it's like for a green-white deck. And you can tap to put a 2/2 into play. But you can only do it once because it's legendary. Okay, Argothian Worm, what a classic card from back in the day. 4 mana for 6/6. Trample is considered extremely good for back then. And when it comes into play, player can sacrifice a land to put on top of your deck. So that's a drawback. It's not, it's okay now, but back then it was really good. Whipjaw Raptor, 4 mana, 4/5. When it's dealt damage, draw a card. That's pretty good, actually. That's a very well costed card. So that's what I'm talking about. This card is actually probably a bit better than this card, Argothian Worm. This one's newer. Moving Wild Tracker, 1 mana for 1/1, and then you can make any creature fight another target creature. Yep. Yeah, so for 2 mana, you can make any creature fight another creature, which means they indirectly attack each other. Trustani, Discordant, 5 mana, 1/4. Other creature get +1/+1. When it enters battlefield, get 2 1/1s. And then each player gains control of all creatures they own. Okay, well that's bad for like, I think this is anti-blue control then. Lieutenant Kurtar, I remember this card. I pulled it in a pack back in the day. 3 mana for 2/2. 2 mana, sacrifice it, remove target attacking creature from the game. Yeah, not very powerful by today's standards, but it was decent back then. Angel Guardian, 6 mana, 5/5 flying. Whenever one of my creatures get attacked, the game indestructible until end turn. Okay, that's actually pretty powerful. Newer card, of course. I talked about that card. Defension Sphere, 3 mana, enters the battlefield, you may exile target non-land permanent, and it leaves. Okay, so this is like a little bit of a better Oblivion Ring. So it's decent. I think every deck needs to have something like that. Hooded Hydra comes to play X +1/+1 counters. And then when it dies, you get a 1/1 green snake for each +1/+1 counter. And then if we put turn face up, you morph it, you get 5 +1. Okay, that's okay. Rampaging Balos. Oh, 6 mana for 6/6 trample. It's pretty good. And then when a land enters the battlefield, you get a 4/4. So that's actually, yeah, pretty powerful. Righteous Confluence, 5 mana, choose 3. You may choose the same one more than once. You can put 2/2 into play, or you can exile target enchantment, or you gain 5 life. And you can do any 3 of those. That's cool. Oh, this is part of a pre-constructed deck I bought back when I was a kid, when I started playing Magic. It's Thriss Nantuku Prime. Is 7 mana for 5/5. Is not very good, but then 1 mana, target creature gains +5/+5 until end of turn. +5/+5 is quite a lot, as you guys can imagine. So, yeah, but it's not very good by today's standards. Elvish Piper. I remember having a deck with this guy back in it back in the day. 4 mana for 1/1 is not good, but 1 mana you can put a creature card from your hand into play. So that means that if I had the 7 mana guy, right, I can just use 1 mana to put into play. So actually really powerful effect. And I remember using him back in my red-green creature deck, which is the first deck I ever made. So I actually have fond memories using Elvish Piper. Sarah's Guardian, 6 mana, 5/5, flying vigilance. Other creatures you control have vigilance. Pretty well costed card. Oracle Nectars, 3 mana, 2/2, X, you gain X life. Yeah, decent for what it does. Battle Grace Angel, Exalted. Whenever creature you control. Oh, okay. Battle Grace Angel, Exalted. Whenever creature you control attacks alone, it gains lifelink. Yeah, that's decent. Again, in an Exalted deck. Lyra Dawnbringer, or Lyra Dawnbringer, 5 mana for a 5/5, flying, first strike, lifelink. And other angels you control get +1/+1 ability. So it's basically like a Baneslayer angel. That's, you know, power creep right there. God Eternal Oketra, 5 mana for 3/6, double strike. So it actually does 6 damage. Whenever you, yes, essentially it's a 6/6. And then whenever you cast a creature spell, you get a 4/4 with vigilance. And then when it dies, you put it into the library third from the top. That's a really powerful card. Yeah. This is another one of those cards I like would be insane if it existed back then. Loxodon Hierarch, 4 mana for 4/4. Comes into play, gain 4 life. Then you can sacrifice to regenerate each creature you control. Very solid for what it does. Path to Exile, basically the New Age swords. So you guys have seen Swords to Plowshares. This one is the old one. This is the new version. Instead of your opponent gaining a life, they get a land, a basic land. So it's still a very powerful card. A lot of people play it. Yeah, very well costed because it's 1 mana. Leyline Sanctity, 4 mana. So you open a hand, you make it in the game. You have Hexproof. So it's basically Ivory Mask. Actually better than Ivory Mask because Hexproof is better than Shroud. Yeah. So I think for certain decks it might make sense. Birds of Paradise, iconic card from the beginning of Magic, actually. 1 mana for 0/1 flying's not great, but you tap to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, which is absolutely great for decks that have multicolors. So great for fixing your mana. Yeah, so very good card. Safri, Eric's Daughter, 2 mana, 2/2. Sacrifice it. When target creature is put in your graveyard, return that card to play. Yeah, pretty simple, well costed. Grismal, 3 mana, 3/3 trample. Every turn, each player gets a 1/1, and then when a token dies, you get a +1/+1 counter on this. I don't know how I feel about other people getting 1/1s though. Blood Clock. Oh, this is the same thing as Umbilicus, isn't it? Yeah, 4 mana each turn. That player returns a permanent unless they pays 2 life. Yeah, same thing as Umbilicus, just different card. Different name, essentially. That's it. Same effect. Angel of Invention. 5 mana for 2/1. Flying, Vigilance, and Lifelink. Fabricate 2. So when it comes to play, you either get 2 +1/+1 counters, which makes it a 4/3, or you get 2 1/1s, and other creatures you control get +1/+1. So essentially, if you do the second one, they would be 2 2/2s. Yeah, really good card. Again, another example of power creep. Beast Whisperer, 4 mana, 2/3. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. Very, very good card. Again, another example of power creep. Assassin's Trophy, 2 mana to destroy a target permanent, so it can be anything that they have. Then they search their library for a basic land card and then put it in the battlefield. So very good card. 2 mana, you destroy anything they have, and then they just get a basic. So it's like a Path to Exile, except you can destroy anything. That's amazing. Creekwood Leech is a good card too. 4 mana, 2/2. You use it with a black-green token deck, and then beginning of upkeep you get a 1/1, which is essentially 3/3 with this effect here. Other black and green creatures get +1/+1. So you create a 3/3 every turn. It's amazing. Eternal Witness, oh my god, all-time great card. 3 mana for 2/1, and then when it enters the battlefield, you get a card, any card from your graveyard back to your hand. And you can abuse this card by just reusing the enters the battlefield effect. So this is just a great card. Abrupt Decay, that's another good card here. 2 mana, instant, can't be countered, destroy target non-land permanent with converted mana cost 3 or less. So in general, I would say this Abrupt Decay is going to be like, there are cases Assassin's Trophy is obviously better when it destroys like big things, but then Abrupt Decay, because it can't be countered and it's non-land permanent, yeah, I would say that overall, yeah, the opponent doesn't get a basic land out of it as well. But Assassin's Trophy will definitely do more. It will hit more things. They get a basic land card. Abrupt Decay, yeah, if your opponent is obviously playing lower cost of stuff, then Abrupt Decay is better to use. Kazana Tuskcaller, but both are good. I use both of them. Kazana Tuskcaller, 2 mana, level up. So you level 2, you can tap to create a 3/3, which is actually pretty powerful. Level 6, you tap to create 2 3/3s. Okay, Well, that's a pretty powerful ability to create 2/3/3s out of one tap. Kitchen Finks. It's an uncommon, but I really like it. Just like Eternal Witness, it's a great uncommon. 3 mana for 3/2. You gain 2 life when it comes into play, and then Persist, which means when it dies, it comes back with a -1/-1, and you get to use this ability again. You gain another 2 life. So it's very solid for what it does. Okay, Inquisition of Kozilek is a good card. 1 mana. So the other player gets their hand, you get to choose a non-land card that costs 3 or less, and then they discard it, which basically means you get to kill anything in their hand for 1 mana. That's 3 or less. So that's good. Kessekeiju, 5 mana, 3/4. When it attacks, you get a 2/2. It tapped and attacking for each creature card in your graveyard. Okay. If it was even just 2/2, tapped and attacking, it would be decently powerful. But for each creature card in your graveyard, wow, that's good. Memmark, 7 mana, 4/5. 3 mana to make anything an artifact, and then 4 mana to gain control of target artifact. Essentially, 7 mana to gain control of anything on the board. Yeah. It's alright, but that's a lot of mana. Remand, 2 mana counter target spell, and they get it back in their hand and you draw a card. It's kind of an annoying counter spell. Honestly, it doesn't really get rid of it, but yeah, it will set the opponent back for sure. Good for tempo. Phantom Nantuku, 3 mana, trample, and it's a 2/2, but then if it's dealt damage, you remove it, has a phantom ability like that. But you tap to put a +1/+1 on it, so it can get bigger over time, so it's okay. Future Sight, this is a cool card, 5 mana. You play with the top card of your library revealed, but then you play the top card of your library as though it's in your hand. So you essentially extend your hand by an extra card, which is cool. Trigon Predator, 3 mana, 2/3 flying. When it deals combat damage, you destroy a target artifact or enchantment they control, which is a good ability, so it's good for enchantment artifact decks, obviously. Counterbalance was pretty powerful back then if you use it with Sensei's Divine Top. 2 mana. Whenever your opponent plays a spell, you reveal the top card of your deck, and if you do counter the spell, if it has the same converted mana cost. So, yeah, it's actually a really annoying card to play against. Sublime Epiphany, 6 mana, choose 1 or more, counter target spell, counter target activated or triggered ability, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, create a token that's a copy of target creature, or target player draws a card. So you can actually choose all of these at the same time, so which makes this a really powerful card. Because 1 or more, you can actually, potentially you can use all of them. So yeah, pretty powerful. Frontland Felidar, 4 mana for 3/5 vigilance. Creatures you control vigilance have tap target creature. That seems like an annoying card to deal with. Brakmaw, 3 mana, and it's a 3/3. Whenever another creature you control dies, if it had a +1/+1 counter, it gets 1 more. This one gets more. When it dies, create an XX black green Hydra creature token. X's number +1/+1. Okay, so if it dies, it gets a copy that's as powerful as the +1/+1 counter. It's okay. A bit clunky, I think. Kumena's Awakening, 4 mana, Ascend. If you control 10 or more permanents, you get the City's Blessing for the rest of the game. At the beginning of each upkeep, each player draws a card. I think I would use this in mill decks to make them draw more cards. Polychronos, 4 mana. It's a 6/6 when it comes into play, and escapes with 12 on it. Damage will be dealt while it has a +1/+1. We prevent that damage, remove that many +1/+1 counters. It can fight another creature, and it can escape for 6 mana. For 6 mana, they'll come into play with 12 +1/+1 counters. So it's like 12/12 when it comes to play when it escapes. That's very interesting. Okay, that seems like a pretty powerful card. Zombie Hydra. Now they're making Zombie Hydras. This is a pretty powerful card, Recurring Nightmare. That's the main card in one of my decks, actually. 3 mana. You can sacrifice a creature to return it to your hand, and then you get a creature card from your graveyard into play. Because this returns to your hand, it makes it very difficult for your opponent to destroy it on their turn. And you can keep on reusing it. So yeah, you get a creature back from your graveyard, and then all you have to do is sacrifice a creature, which could be a token or anything, and then you can get another creature back from your graveyard. Like, you just keep on just keep on using it. It's a really powerful card. Nambi, 2 mana, 2/1 flash, enters the battlefield, turn another creature you control to its owner's hand, gain life to cost, discard a legendary card. Okay, draw 2 cards. This ability is, I don't know about the legendary stuff. That's not that useful, but the first ability, actually the second ability is pretty useful. Dance of the Mansei. Return X target artifact, non-or enchantment, each with converted mana cost, to the graveyard, from the graveyard to the battlefield. This one, okay, I think I talked about this one already. Limvala Shield of Seagate, 3 mana for 3/3 flying. At the beginning of combat, your turn, if you have a full party, choose target non-land permanent until next turn can't attack or block. Sacrifice, choose hexproof or indestructible. Okay, it's alright for what it does. Conjurer's Closet's pretty cool. At the beginning of your end step, you may exile, then you return it back to the battlefield. So you would obviously use this card with a lot of comes into play. Enters battlefield, exits battlefield, or dies ability. No. Yeah, it would be exit battlefield abilities. Yeah. These are just dual lands. So I got some dual lands here. Yeah, basically all dual lands here. Black, blue, green, white. Temple Planny. This one does a scry when it enters the battlefield. So that's the benefit of that one. This one you take damage when you add multiple colors. So this one, the drawback is just you gotta use 1 mana to add these 2 specific ones. This one comes into play tapped unless you control plains or swamp. This one comes into play tapped unless you control two or more basic lands. So all of them have some kind of drawback too for the dual mana ability, right? This one deals damage. This one enters tapped, but you get to scry. This one enters battlefield tapped, deals damage. Yeah, this is all lands now. Tapped, but this one can become a 3/4, potentially, a creature land. This one's scry, but tapped. Oh, this is the Exotic Orchard. So this one adds mana that your opponent controls, which is cool. So if they have a multicolor deck, then that's good. This one is tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. This is tapped. Tapped can become a creature. Tap can become a creature. Tap can be this one. Oh, scries. This one can enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or fewer lands. I like these. I think these ones are pretty good. Yeah, because if you want mana fixing, you'd probably need it the most early in the game, which is where these lands are most useful because they're untapped if you are early in the game. Yeah, this one, if you have a swamp or forest, it's untapped. Marine Bosque is cool. It's actually a forest, and then it can potentially add white or black as well. And if you have a tree folk, then it's untapped. Otherwise, it's tapped. Okay. Oran Reef is pretty cool too, because you can put +1/+1 counter each green creature into the battlefield. Good for token decks. This one, shift control island or swamp. Unless you have 2 more basic lands, 2 or fewer lands. That's better, I think. 2 or more fewer lands. Wait, why do you have Oran Reef again? Oh, because I have so many of them. Damn, why do you have so many? Oh, Pernicious Deed. This is a good card. 3 mana. To X, sacrifice to destroy each artifact, creature, enchantment, converted mana cost X or less. I think because you can kind of target it a little bit better than the Nevernal's Disc. This is definitely better than Disc, in my opinion, if you have access to black and green. Parallel Lives. An effect would put 1 or more tokens. You get twice as many tokens instead, so obviously good for token decks. For Elder, 3 mana, Vigilance gets +1/+1 for each color among permanents you control, and then add 1 color for each mana color among permanents. So it's, it's good for multicolor decks. Talked about Vindicate. Sword of the Meek. Creature gets +1/+2. Whenever 1/1 creature enters the battlefield, you may turn. I think this is used on some combo decks. Piano Nomad Captain. 3 mana. When it attacks, attack creatures get +1/+1. Simple, effective, but probably underpowered for today. Fatal Push. Destroy target creature with converted mana cost 2 or less. Destroy the creature with converting mana cost 4 or less. Yeah, I think it's pretty good uncommon card. Mirror Works. Whenever a non-token artifact creature enters the battlefield, you pay 2 mana to create a copy of that artifact. Yeah, could be pretty cool in some combo decks, I think. Tana the Bloodsower. 4 mana, 2/2 trample. When it deals combat damage, you create that many 1/1 green sapling creature tokens. Yeah, it's pretty good actually. Dominating Listed. This is an old card. So this is a 1/1 that can become a creature enchantment that gains control of that creature. So it's good for my blue control deck, for example. Hero of Oxid Rage. 4 mana for 4/2. Haste. Battle Cry. So basically when this attack, other attacking creatures get +1/+0, and when it attacks, creatures power 1 or less can't block. So good for aggro decks. Cur the Boundless Skies. 4 mana for 4/4. Flying Death Touch. When it dies, you either get 3 land cards put in your hand, any land, or you can get an XX green spirit creature token, where X is the number of lands you control. That's obviously pretty good if you have a lot of lands. Luminous Broodmoth. 4 mana, 3/4 flying. When a creature you control without flying dies, return to the battlefield under its owner's control with a flying counter on it. That's really good, obviously. Like if anything that's not flying gets to come back, that's really cool. Thundering Vaishu. Again, if you have any enters the battlefield effects on the cards, that would be good. 4 mana for 3/3 haste. When it attacks, you get +1/+1 counter target creature you control, then deals X damage to each opponent, X the number of modified creatures you control. Okay, good for aggro decks. Collected Company. I remember this. This is pretty decent if you have, So the effect is you look at the top 6 cards, put it to 2 creature cards with converted mana cost 3 or less onto the battlefield. Yeah, really good card if you have decks with cheaper creatures. Reese the Redeemed, 1 mana for 1/1, 3 mana to create a 1/1, and then 6 mana to basically double all your tokens. So obviously great for a token deck. Platinum Angel, really cool card. 7 mana for 4/4 flying, but then you can't lose the game and your opponents can't win the game. So that's obviously a very powerful effect. They have to destroy this creature to win the game. Otherwise, you can't lose. Yeah, imagine creating tokens of this thing. It's not even legendary, so you can definitely create tokens of it. Springleaf Avenger, 5 mana, 6/5, Ninjutsu. You can return an unblocked attacker to put this into the battlefield. When it deals combat damage, you can turn target permanent card from your graveyard to hand. Yeah, that's pretty good. Lion Sash, 2 mana for 1/1, exile target creature from a graveyard. If it was a permanent card, you get a +1 play. Equip creature +1 for each +1/+1 counter, and then reconfigures. Okay. I think this is good to give everyone kind of like that Scavenging Ooze ability. I think just to remove stuff from graveyards. Alright, Stoke Angel, 4 mana, 3/4 flying. Vigilance, players can attack more than one creature during the tap steps. Yeah, generally a pretty good creature for what it does. Decent cost, a lot of abilities. All the Dawn Sky, 5 mana, 5/4, flying Vigilance. When it dies, you look at the top 7 cards, put any number of non-land permanent cards, total mana 4 or less, onto the battlefield, or you get 2 +1/+1 counters on each permanent you control that's a creature or vehicle. So, yeah, all these like dragon cards are actually really good. Yeah, these newer dragon cards are pretty powerful. Ryu, Storm's Edge, 4 mana for 3/3 first strike. When attacks alone, untap it. If it's the first combat phase, just an additional combat phase. Yeah, good for aggro decks. Protean Thaumaturge, 2 mana for 1/1 Constellation. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield, you may have it become a copy of another creature. Okay, good for copy decks and enchantment decks like mine, I guess. I think that's why I have it. This 5 mana, Invoke Despair, 4 of black. Target opponent sacrifices a creature. If they can't, they lose 2 life and you draw a card. They repeat this process for an enchantment and a planeswalker. Yeah, potentially pretty good. Shigeki, 2 mana for 1/3. To return it to its owner's hand, reveal top 4 cards. You put a land card into the battlefield. Discard it. Return X target long legendary quick. I think it's really good for what it costs. It's only 2 mana. It does a lot actually. Invoke Justice, 4 white and total 5. Return target permanent from your graveyard to battlefield. Then distribute 4 +1/+1 counters among any number of creatures or vehicles target creature controls. I think just reanimating something as a white card is pretty good. That's like Breath of Life, but then you get extra stuff. Eater of Virtue, 1 mana legendary artifact. When it dies, exile it. Equip creatures +1, +2, +0. As long as a card exiled with it has flying, Oh, okay. So basically for all these abilities, yeah, so basically a creature can have any of these abilities as long as it's another creature has used it before. So that's actually pretty cool. Tamio, Completed Sage. So it's 5 mana Planeswalker here. And first one, it's got completed. If it's paid, Planeswalker to 2 free lower to count. Okay, tap up to 1 target artifact. The creature does not tap. That can be an annoying effect. Exile with mana cost value X from your graveyard. Create a token that's copy. That's cool. The ultimate is a legendary colorless. The spells you cost less than 2 cast and tap draw a card. Huh. Interesting. Can be hard to use, I think, maybe. Summoner's Pact, 0. It's green. You search your library for a green creature card, reveal it, and put it in your hand. At the beginning of your next cup, you pay 4 mana, else you lose the game. So it's really used for a lot of combo decks, I think. Like Flash Hulk, I used it. Because it doesn't matter if you don't pay this next cost, because you're going to win this game this turn, right? Misery Shadow, 2 mana for 2/2. A creature and opponent control would die, exile it, and then 1 mana to get +1/+1. So it's a shade, so it pumps up with any mana, and then has an additional benefit of a creature controls die exile. So it's just it's better than that Nantuku Shade one. It's just a better creature. It's a newer creature, so it's just better. Charisma is cool, 3 mana. Whenever a enchanted creature deals damage to a creature, you control that creature. That's pretty cool, actually. I think they should reprint this. Penman's Aurora, this basically makes anything a Morphling. 3 mana enchantment, and it has all the Morphling effects. Untap, flying, shroud, +1/-1. Yeah, makes any creature a Morphling. But like I said, Morphling isn't as powerful as it was before. Portcullis, 4 mana. Whenever a creature comes to play, if there's 2 or more creatures, then that creature basically gets exiled for a bit. So it can be very annoying for token decks, especially, I think. So any kind of like stall deck, I think, would be good for that, and then good to use against token decks. Tainted Ether, really annoying card as well. 4 mana, whenever creature comes to play, controller sacrifices a creature or land. So good luck token decks, you know. Okay, Absorb. Yeah, this is the other side of that Undermine card I talked about earlier. So Undermine is that opponent loses 3 life. This one, counter target spell, you gain 3 life. And then it had that card that did both. So, yep, good for control decks. This is an example of the power creep thing, right? It's this is how old cards were. 6 mana for 6/5, 1 mana regenerate, and it's a rare. Like these days, that wouldn't be a rare at all. It would just be an uncommon or even a common, right? It's not that special of a card to be a rare. This example of power creep for modern cards. This is old cards used to be this powerful, you know, not very powerful at all compared to today's cards. Commander Isha, very cool. This is part of one of the decks I had back then. 4 mana for 2/4 flying, protection from creatures, which means that can't be damaged by creatures or targeted by creatures. So it's a pretty cool card, actually. And it's well costed. Jareth Lean on Titan, 6 mana, 4/7. When it blocks, it gets +7/+7 until end turn. And then it gains protection from color of your choice. So it's hefty cost, but the ability is pretty good. Makes sense. Evolve Sleeper, 1 mana, 1/1. Okay, so it's becomes a human. So it has the Figure of Destiny type thing again. Becomes human cleric, and then it becomes 2/2. So it's a cleric, becomes a Death Touch, and becomes a friction with 3/3, and then it becomes 1/1 +1/+1 counter. Yeah, so it's basically Figure of Destiny, but black shifted. Kemba Cat Endureling, 2 mana for 2/2. Whenever this or another cat enters the battlefield, equip creature +1/+1. You 5 mana, create a 2/2. Yeah, I mean, you gotta have a specific deck for it. In the Trenches, 3 mana, creature you control get +1/+1. 6 mana, exile target non-land permanent. You don't control until it leaves the battlefield. Wow. So this is just better than Glorious Anthem. So this is a power creep again. Glorious Anthem was just this first part here, but you get this extra ability on this one. So it's just a better Glorious Anthem. Norn's Wellspring, 2 mana, whenever creature you control dies, scry 1, put an oil counter. Then 1 mana, remove 2 oil counters, draw a card. Yeah, that's can be good card advantage. It's not bad, cost it for 2. Elite Guard Mage, 4 mana for 2/3, flying. When it enters the battlefield, gain 3 life and draw a card. So you would use this in decks that have the enter the battlefield type combos. Mysterious Limousine, 5 mana for 4/4 vehicle. Whenever it enters the battlefield, attacks, exiled 1 other target creature. The creature is exiled this way, return each other card exiled to the battlefield. It's going to accrue 2. I'm still not that familiar with using vehicles. I think it's such a new mechanic for me. So that's like a newer mechanic. Sten Paranoid Partisan, 2 mana for 2/2. Enters the battlefield, choose a card type other than creature or land. Spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. 3 mana, you can exile and return it back. Okay, so basically it's it's got a Grand Arbiter effect, reducing the cost of spells you play, so that's good. Jaffna, 2 mana, 2/1, 2 mana, return target artifact, 3 mana, copy target artifact spell. So artifact deck, obviously, use that. Mercurial Spell Dancer, 2 mana, 2/1, can't be blocked. When you cast a non-creature spell, get an oil counter, deals combat damage, you may remove 2 oil counters, cast your next instant spell, so you copy that spell. Okay. Now, some copy decks might be fine using that. Wiretapping, 5, Hideaway, 5. You draw your first card during each of your draw step, draw a card. Wait, whenever you draw your first card, you draw an additional card, I guess. Then with 9 or more cards, you may play the exile card without paying its mana cost. 9 or more cards in hand? Okay. Well, you can only hold up to 7 at a time, so. Beacon of Creation. I use this in my token deck. 4 mana. You get a 1/1 token for each forest you control, and then this goes back in the deck. So that's pretty good. Simian Simulacrum. 3 mana, 2/1. Enters the battlefield, get 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. You can unearth it to play it again. It's alright. Actually for 3 mana, that's not bad. Argentum Mastercore, you have another Mastercore here. So 5 mana for 5/5. First strike, protection from multicolored. At the beginning of your keep, you sacrifice and discard a card. That's the Mastercore effect. When you discard a card, destroy target non-land permanent with mana loss equal to the value of mana cost. Oh, that's actually really powerful. They turn the discard effect into a positive with this one to destroy potential effects, to destroy your opponent's cards. That's really cool. This might be the most powerful Mastercore, actually. Okay, Vron, Execution of 3 and 2 mana, 2/2. Whenever one or more creatures you control die, each opponent loses 2 life. You gain 2 life. Okay, really good in multiplayer. It's only 2 mana too, that's good. Host no good, 4 mana, instant, exile top 3 cards, exile top 3 cards in the library, another face down, look at the cards in each pile. Opponent chooses one of those piles, okay. Yeah, so basically they'll split the piles and then one pile goes in your hand, the other one goes in your graveyard. It's almost like a black factor fiction. Interesting. Vengevine, 4 mana for 4/3, haste. When you cast a spell, if it's a second creature spell you cast this turn, you can return it from the graveyard to the battlefield. This is a very annoying card that I played against many people before, because I play it in like, you know, like a Gresso deck, aggro deck, because you're going to be playing many creatures, and then this thing just keeps coming back. Very annoying. Legacy's Allure. So 2 mana, during upkeep, you can put a treasure counter, you can sacrifice it to permanent gain control. So basically it's like a slow card that will build up and eventually control one of your opponent's creatures. Extraction Specialist. 3 mana lifelink, enters the battlefield, return card to creature card mana, cost value 2 less from graveyard to the battlefield. But it can't attack or block. Okay. So it would have to be a creature with abilities then. Yavimaya Elder. Put in the graveyard, you may search your library for up to 2 basic land cards and put in your hand. There's a lot of card advantage, and you can sacrifice it to draw a card. So yeah, good card advantage with that one, but it's definitely like not great by today's standards. It was good back then. Spelljack. 6 mana to counter a spell, but if it's countered, you can basically play it. So that's a pretty powerful counter spell. That's why it's so expensive. Oblivion Stone, 3 mana. Yeah, so this one, this is basically a disc where you can destroy everything. Each non-land permanent actually even more powerful than this, because you can destroy planeswalkers too. But you can kind of save stuff if you want by putting fate counters on it. But it then takes longer time. So yeah, that's a powerful card though. It was used a lot back then. Errant Street Artist, 1 mana for 0/3 flash, defender, haste. Copy target spell you control that wasn't cast. Interesting. You control that wasn't cast. Is that card in your hand then? I'm wondering how to use that one. Pristine Angel. Okay, 6 mana for 4/4, flying, and if it's untapped, there's protection from artifacts in all colors. So basically, it's extremely difficult to get rid of if it's untapped. And when you cast a spell, you can untap it. So yeah, very powerful creature card. I think I talked about this and this. Sylvan Caryatid, 2 mana for 0/3, defender, hexproof, tap, add 1 mana of any color. So yeah, good for mana fixing. Profane Command. Oh, this was a pretty good card. I used it a lot back then. So you choose to return, either a player loses X life, or you return target creature card from your mana cost extra less from graveyard to play, or target creature gets -X, or up to X target creatures gain fear until end of turn. All these are very useful abilities, so yeah, it's a very good card. Very versatile. Broker's Charm. So 3 mana, has to be 3 different colors. But you choose one, target creature gets +1/+0, deals damage equal to its power. Destroy target enchantment, draw 2 cards. Okay, decent. Not quite as good as Profane. It's still versatile though. Falcospera, 4 mana for 3/3 flying trample. Enters the battle for the shield counter. You look at the top card of your library anytime and cast spells from the top of your library by removing counter from the creature in control. Okay. Decent amount of abilities on it. 4 mana, it's not bad. Spinoderm. 4 mana for 5/5, 4 aura counters. Trample as long as 2 of your aura counters, otherwise that's hexproof. Oh, so you either has trample or hexproof. And then each turn you remove an aura counter, then if it has no aura counter, sacrifice. Okay. Pretty good. Tokasia. So 4 mana for 4/3. Creatures you control have vigilance and surveil 1. And then this is a lot of mana. 8 mana in total. Exile from your graveyard. Return any number target artifact creature if its total mana costs 10 or less from graveyard to the battlefield. Yeah, that's a pretty powerful ability. Almost like a planeswalker ability. Talked about Mystic Snake. Ivy. 2 mana, 2/1 flying. Whenever creature casts a spell, player casts a spell that targets only a single creature. Other than that, you may copy that spell, and it targets her. Not necessarily a good thing, I don't think. Incandescent Aria. So 3 mana, deals 3 damage to each non-token creature. Oh, simple. Yeah, simple, well costed. Nice. Yeah, as long as you play those colors. Arcane Proxy, 7 mana, 4/3. Artifact Wizard, interesting. Prototype. So if you take the prototype, it's just a 2/1. But when it enters, but it's only 3 mana, then enters the battlefield. If you cast it, exile, instant a sorcery, mana cost less or equal, then copy that card. Okay. I would probably just always use the prototype then, because you get the same ability, just as much cheaper. Shovel, Bane of Monsters, 2 mana, 1/3, Death Touch. At the beginning of your upkeep, if opponent controls no permanents, put a bounty counter, then whenever opponent with bounty counter on it dies, you get 3 life and draw a card. Yeah, actually it's very well costed. For 2 mana, you get all this stuff. You mean like these modern cards, man, like, yeah, they're all pretty well costed for what they do. They have a lot of abilities. Jix's Command, 5 mana, but you get 2 of these. 2 +1/+1 counters onto a creature against lifelink until end of turn. Destroy each creature with power 2 or less, or return up to 2 creature cards from graveyard to your hand, or each component sacrifice a creature with the highest power. Yep, pretty powerful. Kayla's Command, 3 mana. Choose 2. A 2/2 colorless creature token, or +1/+1 counter creature control gains double strike until turn, or you get a plains card, or you gain 2 life and scry 2. I think for 3 mana, and you get 2 of these, that's pretty good. Yeah, Land of War Lone Seeker, 2 mana for 1/3, add 1 mana of any color. Already, that's better than the Sylvan Cardiad card, right? Yeah, that Cardiad card was just... That was the first part of that card already, isn't it? Where was that card? Anyways, I had a card that was like a 2 mana wall thing. And basically just did that. This card, in addition to doing that, can actually attack. And then target land you control becomes a 3/3 elemental creature with haste until end turn. So this is just a better version of that Sylvan Cardiad card I showed before. Thread and Breaker of Silence. 5 mana for 5/5. Can't be countered. Trample. Can't be the target non-green spells or abilities. And it's indestructible on your turn. Wow. That's a great card. What can I say? Power creep again. Swiftblade Indicator. 2 mana 1/1. Double strike, vigilance, trample. I love that. Just simple, a lot of keywords, and very well costed. Get Mirror the Cursed. 4 mana, 3/2, flying, first strike, haste, and when it deals combat damage, you get a +1/+1. Another great card that has a lot of abilities, and fair cost. Inquisition Kozilek is a good card. 1 mana. They reveal their hand. Mana cost 3 or less, and then I think I talked about this card actually, right? Inquisition of Kozilek. Did I not talk about this card already? I feel like I did. Yeah, I did. Okay. Yeah, I was like, and this card as well, Summoner's Pact. Yeah, I'm pretty sure talked about this one as well. Where is it? Somewhere here. I remember I talked about Summoner's Pact before. It's not here? Maybe it's in the other binder. Okay, oh well. Finale Devastation. Search your library graveyard for a creature card converted mana cost extra less put on the battlefield, and if it's 10 or more, because you can get +6/+1. Well, first of all, if it's 10 or more, then you have 12 mana, and you're pretty much going to win the game. But even not, get any creature from your graveyard or library. That's, you can pretty much find anything. That's pretty good. Thoughtseize, yeah, this is good. 1 mana, you revealed. It's a rare because for 1 mana, you can get them to reveal your hand. You can choose any card from it, and they have to discard that card. And 2 mana is a small price to pay, I guess, for getting rid of any card that's not a land from their hand. So that's pretty good. So Thoughtseize is a good card. Played by a lot of competitive players for a reason. Captain Sisay, 4 mana. She's part of the Weatherlight crew, by the way. I should have had her in that other section. But anyways, 4 mana for 2/2. She's actually the captain of the Weatherlight crew. 4 mana for 2/2. You just tap to search for a legendary card and put it in your hand. I'm actually surprised I didn't reprint this card. That's a pretty good ability and well costed for what it does. Okay, Grave Titan, 6 mana, 6/6, Death Touch. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, you get 2 2/2s on the battlefield. Those are pretty good abilities, obviously, especially if you can reuse it. Steel Seraph, 6 mana, 5/4, but you can do a prototype for 3 white mana. It's a 3/3, and then flying. In the beginning of combat, target creature you control gains your choice of flying, vigilance, or lifelink. I think if you play the prototype cost, yeah, it's definitely really powerful for that cost, right? For 6 mana, it's a lot, but 3 mana, definitely pretty good. Anyways, that's it. That's my Magic binders. Wow, that's a lot of new cards I had added that I didn't know about, actually. Anyways, that's it. Let me know what you guys think of that Magic overview. That was a lot of talking about Magic cards. All right. Thanks for watching, guys.